And we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, boils and goyles, happy, merry, whatever, joy to your world. The day is here. Whatever you're doing in your neck of the woods. I know we got people from all over too, so I know not everyone even celebrates even to begin with. So whatever it is you're doing on this fine day, and whatever time it is, it's evening time for me, but good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whichever. Hope everybody's enjoying the week, whatever, it's kind of a whole holiday season, right? Welcome everybody. Good to see you, Denise. Who else we got in here? D. Kazimi, Lisa, Billy Joe, Tracy, Kim, the finisher. Right on. You don't start fights, but I bet he finishes them. Welcome, guys. Welcome, new folks joining us. I don't really know exactly what we're gonna do for this little segment. This little misfit Christmas gathering we're gonna be doing here. I kind of have some ideas of some things we can do. I got all kinds of things we could be doing. We could watch archival and just deep dive. We could do a Red Brick Road discovery session. The last time we did like a freestyle live stream, we were talking about Bob Hope. So I did go ahead and get some Bob Hope stuff. Apparently, he was also he was like Father Christmas before Mariah Carey was born, So, whatever, if you guys are into some of that, or I've got like old MTV Movie Awards shows, like, I got all kinds of weird shit of like VHS rip shit that's from like different times and eras throughout history that does all kind of take us down a red brick road where we can kind of just discuss and, things you guys know about certain people, places, and things, and anybody comes up or interesting things get said, and we can kind of just freestyle. I'm kind of thinking, but I don't know which direction you guys want to go. I think the Bob Hope stuff was interesting to me because he was very much of like the crossover between Hollywood and the military, and obviously the Christmas. He always had a Christmas show, and as I was looking through the list, because it's like decades of like he was doing the Bob Hope's Christmas specials all these years, and it was almost like he's like, oh, Merry Christmas from Hawaii, Merry Christmas from Bermuda. It's like, all you little people sitting at home picking plastic out of your TV dinners, come join me while I fucking sit over here in Hawaii. But then there's like a couple of them, it's from the same year from like 3 different places, so it's like, holy fuck, if that's not the most Hollywood thing. Like, Merry Christmas from everywhere, from Bob Hope to you. And then like the one show is like 1969 Vietnam USO Christmas Bob Hope special. And I don't know if any of you guys that have dug more into the history of just like some of the experimenting and things that were going on military wise back, between the 40s and the 70s, and then how that was sort of coming into practical application among the general public and in the industry, and even in like athletics, like sports, any kind of entertainment career paths. It seems that there's different aspects coming into play. So I don't know what you guys want to do. I figure like let you guys get in the door here, get settled. We'll chit chat for a minute and just like see how everybody's doing. Holocro's here. What's up? Yeah, you like that one, eh? Like, that's how it felt to me. Like, it's all very oozy, and like I'm just picturing, because this is like the TV dinner era and like the Latchkey Kid era and whatever, and like yeah, gather around the TV, folks. Bob Hope's gonna fucking circle jerk in your face over in Hawaii. Like, fuck, I don't know, whatever. Just the vibe, and I guess maybe I'm a little cynical and a little more like, I don't know, with everything I've been reading into, and especially this week or so, like, obviously the December's already not a great time. Like, before all of this Reiner stuff, like, I was lining up the Brittany Murphy and the John Bonet stuff, and kind of specifically around this time, and for a reason, right? Like, they're both deaths that were pretty prominent during this season. And I just, like, the Reiner thing, just more to it. It just more of a showing how much of a, like, I don't know what the word would be. I guess just all the trauma anomalies that take place over the holidays, like, that a lot of things that are simmering and waiting to come to a boil sometimes ends up happening around the holiday season. And it's not always a nice time for everybody. It's not always a wonderful, wonderful time of year, So I figure, I don't know, get us in the door here, get everybody get their snacks, get their whatever, get some hot cocoa, whatever you want to do. I don't know, treat yourself, whether you want to celebrate the holiday or not. We all deserve to take some time out for ourselves and treat ourselves. Get that cocoa with the little marshmallows if you got it. You know, that shit's fun. Cater to your inner child, if nothing else, you know? Bob always creeped you out a bit, didn't get his appeal. And welcome, Crow. It's good to see you. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what to think of them yet because it's one of those rabbit holes I'd put to the side and plan to go down more so because there is a lot of overlap. Like, once you start going down any rabbit hole, you find that it all opens up to one great big cavern anyways. You know, it all connects in such a way. So, I mean, some of the theories and things that I had gathered from another side of that era, it all just kind of ties into it. It all just kind of further confirms certain ideas and theories I've had, I guess, as far as how all of that overlaps over the years and how they've been refining the playbook and the hidden curriculum of it all and how it mirrors in society and how they're able to kind of, you know, what was that saying, that he who controls the airwaves controls the masses or whatever, right? But welcome, Blue-Eyed Soul. Got a few more folks joining us. Give you guys another minute here. I don't know what we want to do though, so I don't know if we want to do a poll. Or, like, I don't know. There's so much stuff. Like, we could just search Christmas specials from a certain era and just see what kind of silliness was happening. It doesn't have to be even Christmas themed at all. Like, I don't know what everybody's feeling. I know for political purposes and reasons, a lot of people are really fighting for the Merry Christmas. Like, no, we say Merry Christmas. We're not, you know, we will not be budged or divided or whatever, you know, I don't know. I'm from a different place. I'm not from the States, so I don't know what you guys are making a deal about it. But I've always kind of been a little divided about the conventional holidays anyways. I've always felt it's, you know, more of a celebration of commercialism than really what it's meant to be or what it was supposed to be in the beginning. It's a way of clearing out all the old stock from that year and so they can roll in the new stock the next year. You know, it just all contributes to the whole design of tax and debt slavery, in my opinion. And if you still celebrate and you got kids, like, I think it's different when you got kids too, or when you know, you got nieces, nephews, whatever, and you want to do a little Christmas thing, whatever, you know, I think it's fun to an extent. But I think the pressure of it all and the way that it's put out there and the way that it ends up just being this more stressful time of year, you know, like thousands of people right now are millions even, are sitting down to dinner right now that's serving tension and passive aggression and unresolved trauma and political arguments and religious arguments and just all kinds of bullshit, you know. So either way, whatever we decide to do, I figure let's try to be, you know, see the bright side as well, as much as we go down the dark side here in the red brick road, and we're trying to uncover the dark truths of it all, you know. We can still kind of make it light and fun and try to enjoy our time, you know. But what are you guys thinking? I guess, I don't know, I can take some suggestions. I don't know if we need to really even do a poll, but if you guys have suggestions, whenever you feel the Christmas spirit, you watch a lot of Robin Williams movies. Yeah, right on. Well, obviously can't do anything of that. Like, we can, you know, within reason of copyrights and stuff like that. Like, some of this old VHS rip stuff, like, I think there's more of, like, the fair use, and if we're doing commentary and hanging out, that's one thing, but I don't think we could, like, just watch a whole movie, you know, as much as that would be cool, too. Unfortunately. But, yeah, he's good times. Robin Williams, I like pretty much all his stuff, I think, is always good. And I don't know, I want to believe he's one of the good ones. Like, it's so hard with what I do and what I know and certain dots that connect and certain associations. Sometimes it's hard to tell. And some people are wild cards, but you really want so badly for them to be good folks. And so, you know, it's kind of a constant battle, I guess. The Peanuts Vincent Giraldi Bittersweet soundtrack. It captures the mood. I don't know about that one. I'm going to have to put a pin in that and look that up. Again, like, within reason, guys, right? Like, I go within reason of copyrights. So I don't know, maybe just to start off, just because I was just looking at this Bob Hope stuff, like, maybe I'll play, this one Vietnam one is literally just, like, a 5-minute segment, where some of the other ones, it's, like, the full show. like a full hour long special. So we'll start it off just, I guess, maybe just this 5 minute segment, just get the juices flowing. I don't know, we'll go wherever. Like, this could take us over to Marilyn Monroe. I've got like 25 gigs of Marilyn Monroe stuff for my deep dive documentary, whatever, one day that I'll do on her. I've got physical media and stuff too, because obviously stuff can be edited and changed over the years. So I've just been collecting things on certain figures, public figures over the years. I got Stanley Kubrick stuff. I got like the full 30-minute premiere of Eyes Wide Shut. Like, I got weird stuff. We could really, we could go pretty much wherever. We'll just kind of see where this takes us, I guess, and then just go from there. And I don't know. Yeah, we'll just have a chit chat along the way and try to, yeah, like I said, try to make some fun and find some joy in all the darkness of this year too. There's a lot of darkness revealed this year, and I think a lot of people, you know, I noticed a lot of people posting like, here, I'm just loading this up. I'm gonna just bring this up on the thing. I didn't have anything prepared the way I normally would, so you're gonna like witness this manually of me bringing in the video screen and everything. Hold on, I gotta make this a little wider, or it's not gonna work. But anyway, yeah, like, I don't know. Okay, hold on, bear with me, por favor. When the stuff is, like, more the 4x3, the TV container is kind of like an in-betweenish size, so I can make it work for 4x3 or 16:9, but sometimes it's a weird size and you have to adjust a little bit more. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily fit nicely on either of those. Well, no matter what you do. So I'm just gonna make a quick adjustment here. But yeah, definitely like more of the like historical, the ephemeria or ephemeria, whatever the friggin' word is, like the old school retro. Like, this is research and archival reporting purposes. You know, this is more of like a fair use where, yeah, we can't just watch like a Christmas movie or something silly. Because I do have some gooders. Like, I'm not partial to the holidays, and I have my different feelings about them. But obviously, like, growing up, there was some good stuff, too. There's always, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, or whatever they say, in all situations. And we got to be aware of that, too, you know? Alright, here we go. We're almost just about ready to bring her there. Oh, and I got to bring up my... Hold on. I forgot to open this, too. My voice talking sound bars. These guys. There you go. Yeah. Slight adjustments. Hold on. That might still be a little weird, but we're gonna just... I got it blurred on the sides here. Okay, there you go. Real time. Setting her up. Ready for action. I'm a little tired, guys. It has been a week. It's been a week and a bit with everything, and like I said, I already had so much stuff planned and lined up before even the Reiner stuff was happening, and so much other stuff going on, and then that got mixed in with everything, which is, it's fine. It's like I couldn't I could not jump on it with everything I've covered over the years and how it ties into so much of my work I've already been doing, you know. But yeah, welcome guys. Welcome Scorpio baby, oughta be. We got a few more folks joining us in we the north. Yeah, right on, Janie Lynn. Welcome, guys. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like a fun little, I don't know. It's going to be a little weird. I don't really know what to expect. I didn't really have a chance to skim through any of this stuff yet. I just started kind of grabbing up some stuff as like a starting point for what we could do today. Because like I said, there's so many different ways and things you could do with it. Happy holidays, guys. Merry whatever. Merry Christmas. Happy holiday. Happy Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Johnukah, I don't know, whatever they got, whatever they're serving, wherever you're from, whatever the holidays bring for you. When am I gonna release the 7th? Yeah, so that's the thing. I had like I said, I had like a schedule and had stuff kind of on the go. All of that was sort of prepped and prepared and planned ahead of all of this, and I was supposed to be able to continue like the episodes, the newer episodes were going to be tacked on before we got to the point of running out of episodes. But with the Reiner situation and other stuff going on, this is like the beginning of the trauma apocalypse. It seems like it's been happening with so many different things happening with just right now in the world. I don't know. Everywhere it seems like a lot of stuff's happening, and I've seen a lot of people saying like it doesn't feel like the holidays like they usually do and they used to, and a lot of people are having a hard time getting the Christmas spirit as it is. Just like the socioeconomic stuff. Like there's just so much going on, But so yeah, like I'm gonna be trying to get that wrapped up as soon as I can. I have another episode of the Child Star Nexus I was working on too, and then there's still more episodes. When those episodes of Job and A run out, there's still like another 5 episodes for sure, and still there might be more because originally they were two. It's like 2/3 of the investigation is out. They were two big documentaries, and I was trying to get the third one done, and just the whole darkness of it all, it affected me so badly. Like I couldn't eat or sleep properly after doing those first two and trying to get the next one, the third one, even done in time for this next holiday, like a year later. It still wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to be done in time. And I thought, you know what, screw it. I'm going to just chop them into episodes. I'll start getting episodes out and then work my way, start chipping off 30-minute segments of the part 3. And then after that's all done, then any new developments, it's easier to add on a new episode rather than trying to do a whole nother friggin' 2-hour documentary, right? So all that stuff, I'm still going to try to wrap it up when I can, however I can. But now, obviously, I'm doing the Reiner series. And been trying to come up for air and chit-chat with you guys and, like, just, get the vibe check. Because, obviously, even before the Reiner thing, it's just a hard time of year. It's just not a great time of year for everyone. And winter sucks. A lot of people get the winter depression and winter drearies, depending on where you are in the world. If you get the snow and you get all the, the cold that comes with it. Hey, Coffee Poetry, welcome. Good to see you again. Welcome, Alex. The Great Awakening, yeah. Mass Awakening, Great Awakening. Definitely, I feel like 2025 for sure has been like everyone's starting to wake up. And I think 2026 it's gonna be serving espresso. So, like, brace yourselves. Get ready, guys. Yeah, the winter blues, right? You also love coffee and poetry. There you go. Yeah, making friends already. Found your tribe. Beauty. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll play this clip. It's just something to get us going. Like I said, it's this one's the Bob Hope 1969 Vietnam USO Christmas special. Just, I don't know, just to start us off and see where the red brick road takes us. Because there's something weird on this guy. I don't know what it is just yet. Like I said, I hadn't had a chance since the last freestyle stream to actually fully look into the guy. But the more I was sort of looking in and seeing how much of a, fixture of Christmas he was for a long time, and then like the comedy, I guess, and the military, the Hollywood stuff, it all kind of goes in together. So it's a good starting point for us, and then we'll go from there.
Our next gig was Long Bin, the largest military installation in...
Oh, but it is super quiet, so hold on. Let me adjust this a little bit more for you. It actually might not be so quiet for you. It might just be me. Hold on. Can you guys... I'm going to play it again. Let me know if you guys can hear it okay.
Vietnam. If you don't believe it, take a look at this sea of GI caviar.
shit. Okay. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm trying to open all these other programs and stuff, and we got like a little bit of a frozen situation. It froze for a minute, and I didn't know if I was gonna have to stop and restart. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Are we back? Are we good? Sorry. So sorry, guys. Yeah, I was trying to open the program because I'm gonna try to do the audio cleanup at the same time of that clip, so we could still watch that clip. And it froze everything for a minute as it was opening it up, because it's all connected to the internet and stuff too. I maybe should have thought that one through. So it gave us a little bit of a glitch for a minute there, and everything was bopped for a second. So sorry guys, thank you for hanging tight with us. Okay, it's back, we're back. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, it already is like a lot. It's heavy on the system already, I guess, doing the streaming and then trying to... It was just for a moment while it was opening it up, so I should still be able to do that on the side. Let me load this up for you guys, though. I do have other stuff that is already... The audio's already been cleaned up and it's already good to go. It sounded fine, not too low. You might not have heard it yet. I was a little further ahead of you guys. Like, there's the delay, and it started making all kinds of wild, like, VHS noises, like, squeaking and screaming in the back of it. Like, it needs an audio cleanup. It's not going to be good. So I have, like, other stuff that's already ready, though, because of the Rob Reiner thing. So I have, I guess for now, we may as well, it's sort of the current anyway. I have the behind the scenes of Stand By Me with Rob Reiner that interestingly enough, River Phoenix seems to have not partaken in. There's a lot of people commenting on his performances, and there's some like clips and stuff, but it seems that River Phoenix didn't partake in it at all, like doing the interview side of it. Like all of the other guys are in it, talking about it, doing the behind the scenes thing, but he's not. So that I found a little interesting. But then I also found... And I've cleaned up, like, it's ready to go, I guess, like, I know for sure these are ready, I guess is why I'm picking these right now, because I know I've just done the audio enhancing and everything's clean and crisp and clear. But then I also have this segment called Spare the Rod from 1979, that it was Penny Marshall and Rob Reiner doing it, doing a parenting video. So that was kind of interesting, because they were kind of reflecting on, like, that before time and his more of his personal situation, because in a lot of interviews he's talked about having his own self-analysis, like having to go to therapy, having struggle with substance use as well, but he never really talked about himself in as much detail. That he was very happy and forthcoming to speak about his son's situation. So I found that interesting, because I've been finding snippets of him kind of talking a little bit here and there about his actual own personal journey, where he kept talking about it being his personal journey through his son. But I don't know, it's kind of weird going backwards with all of it, so I don't know which way we want to go here. That kind of sucks that that clip happened to be a little weird. But it is just a 5 minute clip, so give me 2 seconds and let me get that one rocking and rolling, and we'll get this other thing. I don't really know. You guys decide. Do you want to do the Stand By Me one, or do you want to go further back? And it's from it's either 1986 or 1979, and it's nothing to do with Christmas at all, but I mean, maybe we're going down that red brick road instead for a reason. Okay, now where does this silly clip go? There it is. My goodness. Come on, computer. You can do it. And then we'll just isolate, because whatever songs and stuff too, probably just like save ourselves the hassle. Anyways, thank you, Audible. Appreciate you guys, and thanks for bearing with me while we're figuring this out here. Because here, I'll play it again for you, and so you hear what I mean. You'll hear what I mean.
Arnie can have his army. Mine is topless. I'd better go to work before we get busted.
See how squirrely it sounds? It sounds so bad. It's the VHS strip. It's like
they told him you were all home.
It's like the ribbon was stretched, or the tape in the tape was stretched or something, and it sounds awful. But I could probably fix it, so we'll fix that and try to come back to it. But yeah, you guys want to do the Stand By Me one? All right. It's probably gonna do it at some point, like whether it was live or whatever, and bits and pieces of it obviously are gonna end up in one of the episodes. It's all part of it. all part of the research and digging into the history here. Okay, so let me cue that up, and then the other thing is fixing while we're at it. Give me 2 seconds. We're gonna just clean up the edge here. A friggin' effect. And put this here. Okay. It should still be good over here. Yeah, perfect. Alright. Now we're cooking with premium gas, guys. I don't know, I might need to just nudge it over a little bit. But
For a long
find out when it gets going.
time, I thought I would love to be able to find a string to put on a lot of the childhood experiences that I remembered. A lot of them were funny and some of them were kind of sad. And the people that I'd known and some of the guys that I hung out with that really weren't headed anywhere except down blind alleys. And nothing came and nothing came. And what you do when nothing comes is you don't push, you just put it aside. And there came a day when I thought to myself,
Here, I'm gonna try to crank the audio up a little bit because it's pretty clean, but it is a little quiet. So, but I can fix that over here without having to do the whole rigmarole.
if these guys go somewhere, if there's a reason for them to go somewhere and do something, what could it be? And I came up with the idea of them.
Maybe it's not the audio. Maybe it's my headphones right now being a little wonky. Hold on. This microphone is so old, and the receiver and everything is a little bit, because I think it's coming through. Yeah, okay, we're gonna be good. We're going. Ramp on the internet.
Going down the train tracks to look for the body of a kid. And I made up a situation whereby they would know the body was there and that they could go and find it. And everything else follows from that. I think that most stories, good stories about boys, are stories about journey.
He writes these wonderful characters and he writes wonderful dialogue. And most of the times they're encased in these kind of horrific supernatural type pieces. This was really bereft of that. It was a real character piece and a character study and very personal to Stephen King because it was kind of his life.
My memories of boyhood was that it was a riot, that it was a lot of fun. And there's a lot of funny stuff that happened. And I tried to put a lot of that into the story. And Rob tried to put a lot of that into the movie, too. And he had a nice cast. And I think that aside from the material, which clearly appealed to his sense of humor, I think that he must have resonated with some of the boyhood experiences because the direction is so sure-handed.
I don't know how to feel about Stephen King, to be honest. Like, he's one of the ones that kind of, I don't know, he's like a wild card in some ways. Because he obviously can't come outright and say things and make accusations and whatever without any real, evidence or whatever, right? So not, until somebody's convicted in the court of law, you can't say anything for sure. But he does, for what the story of it, the book, I don't know if you guys know, but he had written a children's group experience that should be reserved for adults, and he wrote that in the end of that book. And basically after that, he ended up being this super famous horror writer guy. And some of the TW theory stuff, it all lines up. Like, a lot of it's his stories that are being used to create certain movies. And the Firestarter, Drew Barrymore Firestarter, it was the rap party for that movie, which was also a Stephen King story that was made into a movie, and then all the people, the cast and crew, whoever, and it was Dino De Laurentiis that had produced it, but they had this rap party at Dino De Laurentiis' mansion or whatever, and Drew recalls at that party that she had been given, and I guess either was dared or goaded, oh, I bet you can't, drink these 2 glasses of champagne, and she drank the champagne, and right away she was kind of, woo, And then she doesn't remember much from the night, but she remembers getting woken up in a room somewhere by her mother, and her mother's asking her what happened. So, like, I don't know what kind of parties these people are having, or why there needs to be children there, or why they're giving kids alcohol at 8 years old, you know. And then she's another one. She ended up in rehab at like 13 for heavy narcotics as well. Like, there's sort of a pattern going on in some of these spheres, you know. So, apt pupil was king. Yes, thank you. Except late for supper. Welcome, welcome. Yep, Brad Renfro. That's a whole nother one for another day. And if you go back far enough with, like, the Bryan Singer of it all, and how that connects to Brian Peck, and it connects back to Charlie Sheen and the whole friggin' thing. That's, oh, buddy, don't even start me on the apt pupil of it all. But yeah, all of it fits into the TW theory. Like, that apt pupil that's in the TW theory. That's what I'm referencing for the Brad Renfro part of the TW theory article that I released just before the Rob Reiner stuff happened back in early November. But also Rob Reiner's Stand By Me was one of the more disturbing examples of the TW theory. So, and also happening to both be Stephen King stories. So on a different level, not that he's fully involved on the front end, but there's a lot of recurring patterns and themes and imagery and certain things happening in the back end that suggest certain things on the front end, if that makes any sense. But that's like a free article. I don't know if it's linked in this description. Let me just see. But it should start firing off. I don't know. I have these timer things for the chat that start firing off. But it's a free article. It is through Patreon, but it is totally free. Everything pretty much on there is free, and or it will be free soon. Paid members get the early access to stuff, but it's it's whatever I can't really post on this side of things ends up over there. Same with like uncensored videos, bonus stuff, like I don't know, just pretty much whatever else. But let me drop the thing into the description, and I'll also stick it in the chat. But the TW theory article that I've kind of been working on, it's sort of a developing theory. This Rob Reiner thing, when this happened, like, cause that reference in the article is more basing around the River Phoenix situation, and like there's more going on over there. But so then when this Rob Reiner thing happened, and it being his son, and then just with what I know so far and the kind of research I've been doing alongside the whole Hollywood entertainment industry, like, and then tying in with psychology and the military history stuff, like, there's all these different things that were happening simultaneously, parallel to one another, and crossing over, you know. And I started noticing stuff, and over all these years, several years, I've been doing this, and it all started with the River Phoenix thing. Like, my Dark Hollywood documentary started with River Phoenix, basically, like, the first few were people in his life that were there that night, everything that was going on around, all the darkness around with the peers and colleagues and all this stuff that was going on around there. And a lot of those, the Dark Hollywood, basically are like the hub of the person, like say it's Drew Barrymore, that's the hub, and a lot of dark things happened to her specifically, but there were all kinds of people she worked with, all kinds of her peers and colleagues that were just dropping like flies. There was a lot of substance abuse disorders happening, I guess is the right terminology, or self-medication, or rather any other terminology than addiction, because addiction's not the disease, trauma's the disease, and addiction's just a way to self-soothe. But that's not the conversation we're trying to have today. But anyways, it all started with this. Like, this is a full circle thing for where the Dark Hollywood thing has taken me all these years, and it's just all come full circle with this Rob Reiner, Nick Reiner situation. So that's kind of why I've taken a more of a special interest, I guess you could say, in it as well. Like, I've kind of dived right into it and pushed everything else aside for it, because it's not even just that it's like, yeah, this is the same niche, this is the same kind of stuff I've been talking about. It's literally the stuff I've been talking about the whole time. Like, it started with River, and then, yeah, I've talked about Jonathan Brandis, I've talked about the Brad Renfro, and Corey Haim I go way more deep into in the Charlie Sheen video, like that whole side of it, the Mark Collins Rector of it all, the Bryan Singer of it all. There's so much of that dug into those videos, like kind of, it's like a dark bio, but it's not. There's so much more there, and that's why. Because you couldn't really come out and talk about these things so openly. It was like the Voldemorts, you know, those who cannot be named. You can't just come out and say, yeah, and then this guy on this movie did this to this kid, you know? Like, you got to be super careful and connect it back and connect to people that were convicted. Like, there are convicts floating among them, and there are connections there too, and shared imagery and scenes and angles amongst their films, you know? So you can kind of compare there. If this guy went to jail for doing a thing, and in the opening scene we've got a kid half naked in his tighty whities, running around for 5 minutes, then maybe we should start considering how many other big filmmakers we know that have kids that have been having struggles, whether it's with heavy narcotics or ending their lives on purpose or by accident. What other movies that they've been in that also had scenes like that, that maybe they're not convicted, but you could see the patterns and see how these things kind of connect in a different way. And that's basically the baseline of the TW theory, right? So here we go. This Stand By Me it has a lot of significance in different ways because, it's the beginning, the middle, the end, and we're doing a whole full victory lap here, I guess, on this specific rot that I was kind of trying to allude to and trying to dig at from the get-go. It's been almost 10 years on this shit now.
Found my own way into it through my own personal experience and said, Gordy has to be the main character. It's all about a little boy who doesn't feel good about himself, who's looking for approval, can't get it from his father, and looks to his friends to be bolstered and find that approval and feel good about himself.
Well, that's interesting. When we look at the roast, did that make you feel good about yourself during the roast there? All your friends talking about all the generational trauma? Ooh, this is actually kind of spooky. Because I hadn't watched this all the way through. I had grabbed it up and I knew I was going to need it, so I just started going through the processing of stuff I knew no matter what I was going to have to go through and skim through. I didn't even bother clipping it. I was take the whole thing, clean up the audio, fix it up, and then go through and clip what I'm going to need out of it or whatever. But this is a little bit spooky, kind of beyond the grave spooky. This is him working through his own little childhood thing. Because I found it interesting, too. There's a lot of different parallels. I feel that he should have been a little more understanding and empathetic of what Nick was going through, because I think they were sharing a lot of the same issues between father and son. The issues that Nick and Rob had were very similar to what Rob and Carl had. And you can see it in the interviews. When you look at how Nick deflates when Rob would start talking in those interviews from 2016, very similar when they start talking about certain family things when Rob and Carl are in interviews together. Rob deflates like a balloon. So there's just a lot of interesting things being revealed along the way, little breadcrumbs along the way, he's putting it into his films, putting it into his work. Little hints and clues, I guess, at what he might have been struggling with. Because, I'm not saying that Nick is the only victim in the whole situation when we're talking about it, because I do think it goes all the way back. Rob at some point was a victim, but rather than learning from it and finding the better way, we had a son where it seems that generational trauma just became more concentrated and more amped up. It was just getting worse all the way down the line than really figuring it out and fixing it.
And once I hit upon that, I said, okay, I can tell this story, because those are feelings I had felt as a young kid growing up and trying to, make my way in the world.
There are certain rites of passage that all boys go through with their friends. The first time that we went away from home, the first time that we really had to face something frightening by ourselves, the first time that you face death.
Clockwork Orange. Okay, I had to take a second. I'm what are you saying? And then it clicked for me. Kubrick. See, I don't know what to think about Kubrick. He's also a wild card because I feel he's been trying to say a lot of truths in a lot of his work over the years. Eyes Wide Shut was Kubrick, right? But I'm going to have to double check that, because I believe that the actresses were adults, but in the book, they're children. That's the difference. They're 11-year-olds in the book, in the original story. But then there was adults used, I want to believe, because I so badly want, that's another one. Kubrick, I want to believe he was a good guy, because his work, I do feel, was trying to tell us stuff. And then, he died very kind of mysteriously and suddenly after he didn't want to cut a lot of stuff out of Eyes Wide Shut that now later people are revealing were about kids. It was about kids. The stuff cut out of it was about the elite circles and how they trade children, basically. He was really going to try to come out and say it. And there were still undertones of it, and people think, at the end, he kind of suggests that as the little girl's walking away with the people, right? But there were so many other storylines supposed to be part of it, and, a narration, and Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise were supposed to be such a small part of it, a section of it, but not the whole friggin' story. So I don't really know. I don't know. I don't want to believe that that's true, but I'm gonna look it up. And if it is, it is what it is. A lot of people have been ruined for me over the years doing this work. Malcolm McDowell too is a little bit iffy. There's some crossovers with some stuff that I'm I don't know, the Caligula and I don't know. There's some other stuff going on there. But, how would I even find exactly that? I Actually, I could probably ask AI. Hold on. How old? Old. He picked up from the mall. How old were they when it was filmed? See, AI can be such a detriment to society, but in other ways, I feel like it can be really helpful. Like, for little things like that, like, instead of going through the whole motion of it all, it's like, hey, can you just tell me? I cannot factually trace. The brunette girl is Glennis O'Brien. Okay, so we've got a fucking age at filming. She was 30 in her 30s. The one actress, Glennis O'Brien, was in her 30s. So, but I mean, made dressed down to look young. I like that. This is Hollywood for you. Actress 2 was Katerina Kubrick, and ooh, that's a little more touchy. She may have been just turning 18 at the time of filming. Katerina Kubrick. Who is that? Is that like the niece, stepdaughter? Kubrick, you're not doing so good here, my guy. Not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I mean, on one hand, it's like he's kind of has to halfway play the game to be able to fucking even get a voice in the matter or be part of the club. But, you know, he's starting to seem like he kind of was part of the club, and I don't like that so much. But not quite. It's in the book. In the book, they're written as much younger. The one was in her 30s. Maybe he thought it balanced it out. He's like, well, one's in her 30s, one's just about there. She's 18 at least, and maybe it balances it out. He's in his mind, it's like they're both 25, which is not any better. Kubrick maybe is not a good guy. Some of them, it's a wild card, and they're maybe just not as good of a guy, and that's okay. That's okay. David Lynch, we still got David Lynch on the good team here so far, I think. I don't know. We're losing good ones all the time, and it's part of it. It's just what it is. Yeah, like exactly, cognitive stress. I feel like even getting to that level, it's like you're having to reach a certain level of creep and shittiness. Like he was kind of shitty to Shelley Duvall while they were making The Shining also. So there's also that. But I don't know. We're gonna put that one on the side for now. But because even his daughter's saying a lot of stuff though. Vivian Kubrick, his daughter, has started saying a lot of stuff over on Twitter. I had posted some of it in the Telegram group and linked some people to the stuff. She started to come out and say stuff, and like, cause she was like 12 when he was filming Lolita, because he did Lolita also, right? But I was kind of thinking maybe it had to be done. Somebody was gonna do it, and he was gonna try to do it as like tastefully as fucking possible, which it was still not. It's fucking what the fuck, right? So I don't know. But then again, how much stuff he was trying to leak in The Shining and the stuff that he was trying to tell us through Eyes Wide Shut and stuff. Like, it's like he was really trying to be like, you know, he'd infiltrated the inner circles and saw the rot and wanted to try to reveal. And maybe he wasn't the greatest guy, but probably not to the point of wanting to do some of the things that he became aware of through his career. I don't know. Who's going to really know? I don't know. Barry Lyndon was Ryan O'Neal. We were just talking about him the other day too. And he was kicked off. Like, they ended up still salvaging it. He's still part of the movie, but he got fired because he was hitting on his young daughter, who was underage at the time. Ryan O'Neal, Melanie Griffith, she was underage. He sent his daughter, who had just gotten trespassed upon by his live-in dealer, with his underage girlfriend to go visit Polanski after Polanski had fled the whole thing. So, I mean, anywhere you go, the red brick road, we could keep going. We could just keep going, and it's going to come up. I knew we get the wheels greased here with something, and it would get going, and we'd find our way and back again.
First time that you faced disillusion about your...
But he was making it out like she was like 12, and he was making it out like she was the problem, and she had somehow invited it on herself because then she was also doing some drugs and all the whole thing. But she was a kid. The girlfriend was a kid who had also was at one point at 14 married to Doc Johnson, who was 20. And then when they broke up, she ends up with Ryan O'Neal, who was, I don't even remember, he was much older though, and old enough he had a 12-year-old daughter himself, and sent the daughter and the underage girlfriend to go hang out with Polanski, where he showed them a film that I can't even say the words probably. It was like a experimental forced trespasses type film with a lot of gore that was Japanese and not allowed in the States, I guess, basically. That's the best I could say. But yeah, anywhere you go, there's so much darkness. So much darkness.
Parents, the first time that you have to face a situation where you know if you don't back off a step, you're going to be hurt. These are all things that boys go through, and they're part of what makes boys men.
I was experiencing that coming of age even at the time when I was making the film, which was well into my 30s, because I got strength from my friends even as I got older. And I was always looking for approval from my father and always felt that I wasn't really seen by him. And so I gained a lot of strength from my friends.
I've known Rob since I was 15. He was a little older, like some months. You know, when you're 15, that counts. He was 15 and a half. You know what I mean? And
What are you doing?
we did. We spent a great deal of time together. We saw every movie ever released together and talked about them. And we did theater games, and he directed a show that I did.
Richard Dreyfuss was not initially the one that we cast in that part. It needed to have kind of a, had to have a sense of humor and a bit of whimsy to it and a kind of a satirical edge to it. And at the same time be dramatic and capture the emotional feeling of the piece.
Fight to the back.
We tried a lot of different people and we just couldn't.
I thought I could hear something. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I thought I could hear something through my headphones. I took out my headphones and the cats were having a go. Jeez. Party time, apparently.
Get the right tone. And finally, when Rick Dreyfuss came in, it was perfect.
The writing, if I remember correctly, was self-evident. You know, it led you to a certain tone. You didn't want to fight that tone. It was already there.
When you're casting 12-year-old boys and 13-year-old boys, you really have to cast close to their personalities. I mean, you can't ask kids of that age to go very far away from who they are.
Yeah, this whole thing, like, we could go so much deeper on the Ryan O'Neal of it all. Tatum O'Neal definitely had struggles, like, similarly to Drew Barrymore, and they ended up but getting together on with Drew Barrymore, Tatum O'Neal, and Corey Feldman did a getting straight video, like a getting off drugs video that was filmed at the rehab center. Drew had just got out of like 18 months of rehab, and they turned it into a whole video. I don't know. It was content for them. And yeah, Corey Feldman, Tatum O'Neal was like the counselor to the drug counselor. And then Corey Feldman and Drew Barrymore and a collection of other kids were like the kids at the rehab joint. And they were going through the motions of kids at rehab. And it was kind of silly. The whole thing's a little silly. I probably have it somewhere. Maybe we'll do a viewing one day because that was silliness. But after that, Tatum ended up getting back on drugs. Like, she'd been off drugs for like 5 years. And then both those kids, like Corey and Drew, are just starting to try to kick their habit, but still hadn't. Corey, I believe, talked about that time where he was still off and on using. But it all connects in a way. Like, if you look close enough, it all overlaps. Like, I keep saying this, so for whoever it's becoming a little repetitive, I'm sorry, I apologize. But the whole 6 degrees of separation in society, that whole theory applies to Hollywood, but it's more like 2 degrees of separation. Like, everybody's connected in a way. And it's messed up.
In terms of their characters, they don't have the craft yet. They're not developed yet. So I try to find kids who did have the qualities of those characters. With Gordy and getting Will Wheaton, he had a very doe-like face, very sensitive. He's a very intelligent young man. You know, he was very intelligent even then. And he projected that intelligence and that sensitivity.
I think that it is such a credit to Rob that he was able to cast 4 pre-teenage boys that could just show up and be themselves and say the words and do what the movie demanded of them.
With River Phoenix, there needed to be this kind of wizened.
Oh shoot, hold on, I gotta drag this out because it's gonna look weird if I don't. It was still just the same length of the other video, and this is longer. Hold up. There we go. And I don't know if that's done. I think the other thing might be done, so we can process and get that going too if we would like.
peacemaker, this kind of earth person, and that he was. He came from a background. He lived as a hippie, and his parents.
Yeah, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. That's also a thing. He is connected to a lot of people, but he seems to be okay so far. I haven't really come across him in too many dark, dank holes. There's certain people where there's like the name keeps coming up and then you're like, oh, you're a piece of shit. Some people it's like here and there and you're like, maybe you saw things and you decided to distance yourself, so maybe you're not a piece of shit. Then there's other people it's like you never come across their name in any of the research, probably they're decent, you know. They're not a victim, they're not a perpetrator, they're not a bystander by any means, because that's kind of the layers. It's like it seems that either you're a victim who becomes a perpetrator, you're a perpetrator or who's making victims, or you're a bystander allowing for victims to happen, you know, or then you go on to try to say something and do something, where you got Corey Feldman's always been pretty vocal about it, and on behalf of Corey Haim and just all child stars, there's been a few of them, you know. Elijah Wood's tried to speak out. You know, some people have tried to be a little more vocal, use their soapbox for good, but for the most part, it's like, to be on the inside here, it's one of three things, right?
Parents, lived out of a VW microbus and all of that, and he was a vegetarian. They lived off the land and so on, and he had those qualities. Teddy Duchamp, played by Corey Feldman, had a lot of anger in him because of his family background. There was a broken home. There was a lot of negative influences and difficulty in his life, and he brought a lot of that to the part.
Elijah, he did not, nothing happened to him from what he says, but I mean, in some of the movies and scenes, there was in some ways some exploitation, so I would argue it. Like TW Theory in the movie North by Rob Reiner, there's some scenes in that movie that are no longer available. Like, they're clipped from all the newer digital copies and the streaming. Like, I had to go looking for that shit. But there's some scenes that it's some TW Theory shit that's in the movie that while the year his kid's being born, he's focusing on how to get the best shots for the certain clientele with little Elijah on the movie North. So there's that. Whether he'd actually had a physical, something had happened, I think just that scene alone was a little bit weird. Some of those scenes, but he said nothing happened to him. His mom was really good at like not allowing him to go to these after functions, and he was very supervised and kept him away from stuff, but he knew something was happening with people. He knew of the rot in the industry, and he said that, there's a lot of predators, right? TW Theory is like the tighty whitey theory is kind of where it starts, because a lot of the scenes are kids in tighty whiteys is where I started first noticing it. In like Little Rascals, there's a long scene, and Bug Hall has admitted that, or confessed, or whatever, testified, whatever, he fucking made statements about having been trespassed upon beginning on the set of that movie, and that it carried on to other movies within the Disney sphere, which is like, because it's both sides. You talk about one, you're kind of talking about the other. They kind of go both ways with Disney and Nickelodeon, but there's certain scenes that I had started noticing and that were in a lot of these different movies where then kids had problems with drugs and alcohol or whatever, or they ended up ending their lives early by accident or on purpose. Stand By Me, River Phoenix, Apt Pupil, Brad Renfro. Bug Hall is still with us, but he went through a lot of troubles and made it out the other side, and then has spoken on it since. There was other ones too, I think, for Bug Hall. Like, there's more. You could go deeper down that whole thing. But the TW Theory shows some connections and shows a different side of things and the kind of rot that was going on in Hollywood, even before the Diddy Epstein stuff. Like, there's so much more to the history and dots that connect to certain groups and people and big entities within the industry that you can't necessarily just come right out and say stuff, but you can make some observations. And it's interesting that some people that have been convicted, like this Victor Salva guy who went on to do Jeepers Creepers, the franchise, he went and spent time in jail for harming and trespassing a little boy who was the star of this movie called Clown House. And if you look at the beginning of Clown House, and then you watch some of these movies we all had as kids from all these fucking beloved and celebrated actor, filmmaker, whatever, there's a lot of continuity there. There's some congruency between people that have been convicted of harming the kids on their movie sets to people that we can't necessarily prove who did what on what movie set, but the imagery and the scenes and the angles are the same. So it started with the TW thing. That's sort of the start of it, but it obviously goes across the board. It's still a developing theory, and it obviously applies to girls too, but I feel like there's a lot more it's more spoken about and there's more support for girls that have gone through that kind of thing, but there's still kind of an ignored thing that boys go through it, and there's a reason the rate of ending themselves is 5 times higher than girls, right? So here's kind of where it started, and I started talking to people, and they're like, you know what, that was weird, that Stand By Me scene with the leeches, where why did they all have to get into their underwear, and yeah, the whole thing, like, why do kids need to be in various stages of undress for a movie that it has nothing to do with the plot line? Yeah, that it goes back to Coppola. Finisher knows. Coppola funded Clown House, and George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola are really good buddies. And George Lucas did Star Wars, and then look at Jake Lloyd, right? TW theory, it's all there. But then also Spielberg and George Lucas, young Indy, River Phoenix, Indiana Jones franchise. So, like, I don't know. I can't say that anyone did anything specifically, but we know that Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas's company, American Zoetrope, gave him $250,000 to Victor Salva and the equipment they used for American Graffiti to film a movie that this guy had already been grooming and doing things to this kid previously. And then on that set and on that movie, all of it was starting to get, that's where it really hit a peak. And then the kid he went and said something and did the report and had him, he went to jail. Victor Salva went to jail. He came out of jail. Guess which side of the Disney sphere he got hired by as soon as he's out of jail to do Powder. And then guess who fucking executive produced and, like, funded Jeepers Creepers, right? It all goes back down the line. And who's really good friends with, you know... And then who was mentioned at the Rob Roast, Reiner, fucking whatever, Billy Crystal said some people, all his close, big-time buddies that didn't show up. You know, you just, certain things, certain little dots start to connect. There's certain patterns, and it's, make of it what you will. Maybe I'm fucking completely insane. I don't know. A little bit autistic, a little neurospicy maybe. I don't fucking know. What the fuck do I know? I'm a random person on the internet. Don't listen to me. Look into it yourself. You know, and it seems that somebody does something bad on one side of the sphere, on the Nick side of the sphere, like with Brian Peck, did things to Drake Bell, trespasses and harms against Drake Bell, between the Amanda show and the Drake and Josh show or whatever, convicted, went to jail, gets out of jail. The blue side of the Disney sphere, he's working alongside Zach and Cody, the two kids. Sweet Life of Zach and Cody for It's a Laugh Productions over at Hollywood Center Studios that seems to keep coming up in all the wrong places. Sorry. Okay, we'll get back to the video, but we're just doing the red brick road. We're just going on a red brick road, and you guys are dropping the breadcrumbs, and I'm letting you know where that leads to. You're like, hey, I noticed this breadcrumb, and I'm like, yeah, let me tell you about it. That's kind of what we're doing anyway, right?
In the anger that you see in him on camera.
There was no other kid that walked in the room that had as much pain and turbulence going on in his life as I did. And he could see that shining through. And that's what made him say, this has got to be the guy to play this character. Because the character had so much turmoil and so much turbulence in his life that they had to find an actor who you could really feel it in the eyes. You know, you could really see in there that there was some legitimacy to that.
And then you have Jerry O'Connell, who was probably the least formed. He was only 11 years old when we started shooting, had no experience at all. And he was kind of a wacky, goofy kid. You know, and he was perfectly suited for his part. When he came in to read for me, he didn't even know what was going on. He didn't know who I was. I mean, he gave the reading, and he was like perfect. And I thought, and then he left, and then he came back because he forgot his jacket or something. And he looked at me and says, "Are you that guy on Channel 5?
I thought I was meeting Archie Bunker.
Oh my God, because they're kids. What the fuck do they know, right? It's so funny. But yeah, don't even start me on that. But yeah, when I say Disney sphere, it's like one or the other. Like, you could decide. Because I find, like, I'm figuring out the words that you can't really say because it seems that it doesn't reach the right people when you're trying to say things so much. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know exactly what makes the throttling happen, but I did notice pretty heavy throttle after the Bug Hall and Jake Lloyd videos. I don't know if it's that specifically or if it was some other stuff I was covering. Like, you never really know. I'm kind of poking it in the eye all over the place, like flying too close to the sun everywhere I'm going here, so I don't really know. But, yeah, the Disney sphere is kind of what I refer to it, because it's just like, it's back and forth. They're like cousins, you know, they're brother, cousin, sister, whatever. They're related. They're very related, and they share a lot of the same, like, they come together for those kids' award shows and stuff, and they're sharing Like the entertainers come and do stuff on both sides. Like it was very all together now. It all was together. It was two sides of the same coin, right? And we can go into the whole series of that thing of the Disney of it all. I don't know. But Amanda Bynes, yeah, man, and like it's bad on both sides. It's bad. There's so much rot. It's so much rot. But the difference is, it seems a lot more of the young boys that go through this stuff, they don't live to tell the tale so much often as some of the girls are able to. And like Drew was able to make it out the other side, and yeah, the Dan Schneider situation, which that's like using under the guise of kids' humor, normalizing fetishism. Like there was so much stuff going on back then that you couldn't necessarily say it's a crime, because it's not a crime. But if another adult can be getting some kind of gratification from something to do with children, it's still a crime. That's a crime. That's a trespass against children, in my opinion. The Ariana Grande stuff, like she's even come out and said it, that it made her uncomfortable. And like the stuff that wouldn't make it on the show, they would upload it to the site. Like the stuff that the higher ups wouldn't allow them to broadcast because it was too edgy. Because the stuff that they did make it already was like, this is fucking weird, right? But the stuff that was too edgy, it wouldn't get put on the show, but it would go on the website. So the members that, for the clientele they're really doing it for, fuck, man, like that's a whole nother conversation, because there is a lot of stuff that people don't realize, even if on the surface it's not necessarily an adult theme, it's still something that certain adults, it's a niche. Like, you got to think, there's so many different layers of adult material for different people's tastes. Same thing. You like watching, your 12-year-old boys like watching Baywatch. Creepy people like watching, do you know what I mean? Like, you got to start putting those dots together and start realizing why they have certain scenes in certain films. The feet. Why are we in bathing suits when we're not even at the beach? Like, how did they work that in? Oh, the kid's getting out of the pool, and now he's coming onto the set and talking about it. Like, that one first show that Brittany Murphy was on, the Torkelsons or whatever, or Almost Home, and one of the first pilot episodes, the kid's coming in, he's like, oh yeah, I was enjoying the pool, and he's in his bathing suit, and it's like, that is so fucking unnecessary for the show at all. Like, you just had to find a way to slip it in there to get the kid out of his clothes. Like, it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. Right? Like, and it's almost weird to say it, but it's not even, like, it's only weird if you make it weird, but there's the people that make it weird. That's the point. And a lot of people, like, I've had people try to tell me over time, like, well, you're weird for thinking that people are like that. Well, they are like that, and the fucking patterns are there, and all these kids keep getting weird shit happening. They're harming trespasses, ending up with heavy narcotic abuse problems, or they end themselves or hurt others in the Nick Reiner situation. Like, what happens there that you're shell-shocked at 7, your heavy narcotic addiction by preteens, and parricide in early adulthood. Obviously something weird's there, right? Kids Incorporated. Don't start me on that. You couldn't start me. We've already talked about it, though. The Hollywood Center Studios, that it keeps coming up in all the weird places. Yes, Fergie. She ended up having a bunch of problems after she's talked about it at length. Stacey Ferguson, who was like the star of that show. Brittany Murphy was on that show. There's blind items. There's all the blind items, and you can take those how you will. Not everybody wants to believe that, and it's kind of hard to prove. So it's all just rumor. It's Hollywood rumor stuff. You can't put it as 100% fact. But if you keep coming up in the blind items, probably there's something wrong there.
So, I practiced a script with my mom, and I was very excited about practicing it with my mom because there was cursing in it, so I'm there cursing with my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I'm allowed to say the S and F word because it says it in the script. And that was like very exciting for me. And I walked into the room, and I saw Rob Reiner, and I said to him, wait a minute, you're not Archie, you're Meathead.
And I thought, this kid is so natural and so Vern-like, but could he act Vern? It's one thing to be that kid, and there's another thing to act that part, but I took a chance with him.
Honestly, I don't even know. 6, that's a fucking excellent question. Like, and I mean, even in a way, like, there's a lot of stuff I've archived that I've tried to put out there over the years that seems to be like, this is a highlighting of a thing. Like, this seems to prove something for me. Like, the Brittany Murphy thing. I've been trying to do the Brittany Murphy series it's like evolved over time, obviously, because there's more confirmations and more stuff coming out over the years. But I've been trying to do that series for like 3 years, and until the Diddy stuff come out, I didn't really even realize exactly why I was hitting so many roadblocks. But the way that the Diddy and the Ashton and all the other stuff, and like the weird thing with Kim Porter, how all of that intertwined and like kind of makes it more of a complete series, because I was more just speculating and theorizing and alluding to there being some fucking weird thing because of the beginning, middle, and end that I had then, and then in the middle again. Like it's probably like the 5th time of me trying to put it out in either like a documentary length, like 2 documentary length videos of it, then try to do it in like series, snippets, episodes. This is the 5th time around. And it's still, like, episode 7's gonna fucking happen. I'm gonna finish this goddamn series if it's the last thing I do. But it does tie so many of these little weird things in, and it's still, again, some of it's speculation. But when you really look at the overall of what has been revealed, what has been proven, what's, you know, I don't know. I started to wonder if maybe that was why I was being prevented from really getting it out there before, and why there was a heavy throttling on it, why there was stuff happening. And even through the Diddy coverage, I had so much weird shit happening when I started really going into that, the depths of it all. Different cyber attacks and people trying to, like, hacking attempts, people trying to get in my bank account, like, just weird fucking shit, like, nonstop all the time. So I ended up nuking a bunch of stuff. Like, I had the Cappy videos out way back when, and I ended up nuking them because I couldn't really tell exactly what I was doing that was wrong, because I was probably doing all of the wrong things at once. 6. So I think I've always kind of been trying to do that in the best way that I know how for anything that I do have ever that I've come across. And I guess that's the importance of the Telegram group too, and then the Patreon and stuff, because anything that really I know is just not going anywhere over here. No, like it's just working against me. At the end of the day, then I'll put it over there, you know, because I have, like, that's kind of what I've been doing, and I feel like every time I'm flying too close to the sun, like weird shit was happening when I was covering the Aaron Carter stuff, because I revealed, like, I found proof that Nick Carter's wife was in communication with the cyber group, the terrorism, basically cyber terrorism group that had been harassing him a ton near the end, and then was taking credit for him take whatever happened there. Like, I'm sitting on all kinds of fucking shit that I've been trying, and at this point the floodgates are open, and I've been trying to now just go back and dump as much shit in out again as I can, like the Cappy stuff, the Chester video, Chester Bennington and Jamie Bennington video. That one's from April 2025. That one I dug out of the archives, and I'm putting that stuff back out, like some of this older stuff. Because I've been try do 6. I've been try do. Well, I use many word when few do word do trick. No, but for real, like, and if there were something even more than that, like, I don't know what I don't know. I haven't come across anything that was like a matter of, I don't know, maybe what Brittany Murphy had going on because of what was going on near the end and the paranoia, and like there was so much going on at the end there that I think that she was really onto something with some people. I don't know. We're gonna have the episode 7, and when I wrap that up, then we'll know better. I don't know. I still have some things. There was media I couldn't find a few years ago too that I had come across that I want to go through and make sure that I'm really, like, wrapping up that end of that Brittany Murphy investigation with as much, all of the information, and then people can make up their own mind, right? So, fuck, what a time it's been. But it's all coming together, like, everything I've been trying to say. People thought I was fucking crazy for the longest time, and, like, couldn't understand where I was coming from on some stuff. Thought I was a total fucking weirdo, but it's all starting to be confirmed. Like, I'm feeling less crazy every day, so that's pretty cool. And you guys are helping too. You guys get it. You guys all get it. Yeah, I ended up moving, and, like, I've had some weird shit happen, and I've had, like, I don't necessarily make it a whole big deal, or I have to drag everybody into it, or it's not like a fucking, you know, but if I were to tell you guys, like, it's fucking wild. This past year or so, to be completely honest, and, like, now is a big deal. Like, we've cracked the foundation in the whatever, the Matrix, narcissistic cult Matrix fucking foundation. And so, yeah, we got to just keep throwing everything we can at it and just, like, advance on all fronts, you know? So, I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but I think there's been more progress in this last year or so than the last several combined. So that's good.
And he turned out great. All of them turned out great. And then when I got them up to Oregon before shooting, I got them up a couple of weeks ahead of time. And we basically we did acting classes.
We spent the first week just playing what I learned later on were theater games, doing trust exercises and improv games and things like that.
And that's what I taught these kids, how to play theater games, how to relate to each other, how to throw the ball back and forth verbally, physically, to get them to do all of this. And then we started working with characters and understanding character.
And at the time, you don't even think about it. You think it's like, hey, we're playing games with a bunch of kids, and Rob's like this big kid, and he's hanging out with us, and Andy Scheinman is playing video games with us.
But when I look back across the years, I can see that he was probably taking this time to get us comfortable with each other so that we would feel like we had really known each other, so that we would have some kind of bonds together.
Or he just liked spending time with other people's kids more than he liked spending time with his own for some reason. Because, like, all this, well, not yet. I guess with fucking Stand By Me, it's not the case. But he, through time, it seems he was taking more of an interest in his work that happened to always involve children. Like, there was some people, you guys thank you, by the way, guys, that are, like, dropping little breadcrumbs along the way, too. Like, The Lord of the Flies, where it's not necessarily, he wasn't the director, but still he was, like, visiting the set, and it was a ton of kids with the TW Theory situation. Like, if he was spending less time trying to get the best work out for the particular clientele and spent more time hanging out with his own kid and being a dad and doing all the things that he went on a crusade, a whole campaign about through the 90s of how you are supposed to raise your kids, lecturing everybody about parenting. Maybe if he had done that and did less of this, hanging out with the kids and playing video games with 10-year-olds, because this is before, this obviously, Stand By Me is 1986, it's before Nick, but he was doing the same kind of shit, like I said, with that North movie, and just the different stuff over time he was doing instead of being a dad.
Then we spent the second week actually rehearsing individual scenes. Then we went out onto the locations.
There was a lot of rehearsing done on this film. More rehearsing than I've ever done.
And actually, I'm going to see if I can find it. I'm going to drop it in the Telegram group if I can, because it reminds me of this clip I literally just saw of this guy talking about stuff that happened to him. It was like a TED Talk type thing or something, but it came across on TikTok or something. I don't know. I was passing out, scrolling away. But he was talking about basically he had been groomed by this older teen and he was having trouble in his family, and the teen took him over and was taking him around and buying him fucking fast food, and then would bring him over and let him drink all the pop he wanted and play all the video games as long as he wanted, late as he wanted, and it progressed from there to being not a good interaction for that kid. And now he's this big grown man, and he looks like this big scary dude, but this guy watching him like go into tears talking about what happened to him as a little kid, man, fuck. You know, and it just, all of it seems like, and there's a clip going around too of like this guy, Jerry O'Connell or whatever, talking about how Rob would take him out for lunch personally. Like, I don't know. I just don't know if any of that's appropriate. I think because of the industry, what it allows for a lot of opportunity of crime if there were going to be a crime, if that were the intention. And not to say that exactly 100% that was Rob's intention or he was guilty of anything in that matter, for that matter. But if that's normalized because we've got, the wonderful Wizard of Oz wants to take your 12-year-old out for fucking lunch, and now they're going to take him over overnight. We're having a sleepover with all the cast, and we're all going to play video games and watch TV. Ask Corey Feldman about Alfie's Soda Pop Club. Ask them what they did at the Soda Pop Club once all the parents were gone and it got in the hours, and they got them all jacked up on cola and whatever the fuck was getting slipped into these kids. With Corey Haim and Corey Feldman and Alyssa Milano and fucking Christina Applegate, like that whole era of kids were going to Alfie's Soda Pop Club. Nobody over 16, and it had to be over a certain age, and it was all these celebrities, and it was supposed to be these little mixer parties for these teens. And Alfie is one of the people Corey Feldman names as being one of the guys, one of the bad guys. Because there was more of them. Some people are like, oh no, it was Charlie Sheen. No, it was Brashka or whatever. What's his fucking name? I can't remember his name now. It was this guy, it was that guy. Oh, it was Marty Weiss, so it was this guy. What if it was all of them all at once everywhere they fucking went? What if there was no way they could even escape, and anywhere they went, it was the publicists, it was the photographers, it was the random crew people, it was the random stuntmen. Everywhere they went, there was one of them. Imagine, 1 in 45 people maybe, I don't know what the actual statistic is, but imagine the statistic and say there's 100 people on a set. What are the likelihoods of, and then you start seeing so many of them, like Marty Weiss was Disney Sphere also for, what was it, Good Luck Charlie, that show, and he was convicted. And he wrote a whole book about how he thought it was okay because he would have loved to have been in with an older guy as a kid or some shit. Like, he tried to, like, warp his own trauma to make it like to justify it for himself, to justify his own actions, which was really fucked. Totally fucked. Guy's fucked. But these are all the kinds of people. Like, there was like 5 of them. There was like 5 of them in that era. It wasn't just the Dan Schneider shit. There were actually convicted ones in the Nickelodeon, and that's when they axed the Quiet on Set, when they started getting right into the nitty gritty of how many different people were there doing things, and that got in trouble for it, you know, and like, and then still like just getting hired on by the other side rather than not being hired in the industry at all, like being able to not have access to kids. Here, let's get you in on the other side then. You did stuff to Drake Bell over here. Well, Zach and Cody will be about his age in like a year or two, so let's just get you started over there then. Like, as if that's the whole point and not even about the fucking kid show. Like, what's going on behind the scenes for a different clientele that we don't even know. We don't even know. Because what do they do with the videos? Well, who wanted the videos that Victor Salva was making? Because Nathan Forrest Winters, the kid from Clown House, and Victor Salva, the Jeepers Creepers guy, he was making videos. He was filming the kid. Where were the videos for? Who are they for? Where were they going after? They have nice little director parties somewhere after to see all the B-roll footage? Maybe? Who's Lost Boys director? Probably him too, because fuck, I don't even know anymore. He's not coming to mind. But Kiefer Sutherland did work on Stand By Me and that one too, did he not? Joel Schumacher. Yeah, of course. Definitely Joel Schumacher. He talked about how exquisite Drew Barrymore was when he met her when she was 8. Beautiful, exquisite, like the words he was using, gross. But yeah, he talks about that like normalizing the same idea that he had interactions when he was a little kid. It's, what is it, The Vulture? I think The Vulture did an article with him right before he died. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not even a coincidence that he died shortly after that. But interesting article about Joel Schumacher and his entry into the adult world of things. Fuck. It goes on and on. You guys literally, you could throw out any name and I'll tell you where the darkness is. I know too much. It's so bad. This is good, though. This is a good outlet. We'll just do Follow the Red Brick Road segments and we'll just talk about stuff. Yes, John Bonet. John Bonet. That's the big reveal, probably, I think. You know, all signs point to that there was more going on there, that it was a live feed. It was a live feed, and that's why so many dudes were, like, so in love with her, like, as if she was an OnlyFans model. All the same kind of fucking behavior that you see right now, today, because he had all the access to all the software and all the technology and security, like military level shit, and that kid was doing the pageant, she was doing things, she had fan clubs, she had dudes doing altars and shrines to the kid, and writing poems and all this stuff, and all these dudes, convicted dudes, that had shit on their computer, like a real 100% guilty dudes, saying they were there that night, they knew what happened, talking about their online presences and stuff, but getting shut down pretty fucking quick. They knew what happened, but all of them were proven to not be there physically. How could people be in a room and know what happened and know something was an accident if they weren't there physically? How does that happen? When did webcams happen? When did webcams become a public thing? When did all of that, like, you look at all that history of all that? I don't know if you guys are on that episode yet. That might be... Not yet. I might have just spoiled the next episodes. Sorry. But then there's even more than that. Like, that's that first 10 episodes. Then there's even more than that. So I don't even know, man. And again, can't say for sure, but there's a lot of signs and indicators and some of the other groups that were happening at the time and some of the overlap with some of his companies and where they were located overseas, like Belgium and Amsterdam. I'm sorry, Access Graphics. It's your software company. And you're expanding in Amsterdam and Belgium, where some of the most prolific trafficking hubs exist. Anyway, moving on.
Sense, really. It really shows in the quality of the work.
Well, most of the times,
Oh, bud, the Santa Claus from the Ramses parties, he has 3 dead kids carved into his harp. Their names carved into his harp, because he has, like, this whole thing about kids, and he was one of the suspects at one point, and he might have had some part in it somehow, we don't know. He might not have had DNA proof that there was any hands-on whatever, but you gotta think of other instances where people are partaking in something that's not necessarily even having to physically be there, right? So... let's think about it. Why? And, like, yeah, there was another guy that had a shrine with, like, kids' teeth and stuff. It was fucking weird. Like, there's a bunch of shit still in part 3 where, like, I couldn't eat and sleep properly. After the first 2 documentary parts of the John Bonet, it's been a year and I still am not right from it. Like, I'm watching back some of these other episodes that previously were like 2.5 hour documentaries that have been split into the 10 episodes, because my figuring was, okay, by the time we get caught up with the 10 episodes, I'll start putting out 30-minute chunks of part 3, because part 3 is basically done, the script's done, all the media's there, but it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up, and like when I'm doing it and getting into it, like putting the stuff together and listening to this stuff, all of it, just like the amount of extra time that goes into putting it together. Like, you guys watch it one time, you take it in, done, right? But the effort and time of listening is, it's like you're doing weeks and weeks living in this dark hole. It affects you, and if it didn't, you'd be fucking weird. But I start losing sleep and appetite, and fucking I start getting in a bad way about it. So still not even, fully there to even finish those episodes maybe yet. I don't know. That was kind of the plan, but then the Reiner thing happened, so we don't know. Well, we're going to be working on it as we go anyway, but yeah, it's that all is part of it. Oh, 100% all the time. All the time. All the time. Weird little things all the time, but sometimes it's more concentrated, more like increasing frequency and more weird things, more attacks, more hacking attempts sometimes. But other times it's literally just getting threats is nothing. Like on the one video, the one Job and A video, somebody was like, "Oh, powerful people in Colorado want to silence you." I'm like, okay, yeah, get in line, buddy. Take a number. Take a number. I don't know. What do you want?
You see with very young actors, you'll see a lot of cuts, bits and pieces where a young actor is spoon-fed by a director with a line reading or something. A director will stand off camera and just feed the line, and then finally the actor will get it just the right way, and they'll have that little moment on film. They can cut it in and create the performance in the editing room. But if you look in Stand By Me, there are a number of sustained scenes where you see all 4 of them in the shot, and they're all picking up their cues in the right way. Their timing is good. They know what moments to stress. It's like a piece of music. They know what notes to hit. I think it's a testament to how well we trained them and how hard we worked on these scenes. I wanted to be able to shoot every scene in one without having to cut and make it work. And we were able to do that.
I wasn't scared of anybody on the set. Once again, kid from New York coming out to Hollywood. Nobody scared me. Kiefer Sutherland's.
Oh, I think, I'm sorry, I'm kind of like cutting him right off in the middle. I'll go back a little bit and replay this chunk, sorry. The Jeepers Creepers guy, I think he's basically been run out of Hollywood by now, because like the end of the 3rd one or something, he like worked in some apologetic advocate type stuff for his own kind of like, I don't know, it was some really bad joke. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was basically like, haha, I got away with it. Now I'm going to slip it into this fucking movie, you dumbass idiots. He thought he was going to get away with that one. He thought he was going to pull a fast one, but right away people got fucking pissed. And then they all found out what kind of history he had, and then I think that was the end of it for him. I don't think he's worked since. But it's sad that it took all the way to that point, to him just like literally mocking the audience for people to really get it, and not Nathan Forrest Winters going on a whole thing, protesting outside the opening of Powder, and saying like, this fucking Disney movie and this kid, like, this guy's a predator, and da-da-da-da-da. Like, he tried to, like, he's been talking about it. He was talking about it for fucking years and years and years. And it finally took that of him, like, being like, haha, I'm a creep, and I got away with it. Jeepers, creepers, won't you get that fucking joke in your face, like, fucking idiot. Like, that, they love that. They love getting a thrill out of joking and mocking you right in your fucking face with their sick bullshit. That's literally, like, he got out of jail, and Francis Ford Coppola is like, oh, well, you're going to be a better filmmaker because of it. Look at, you wrote a whole bunch of stuff while you were in there. Cool, let's line you up with Disney and a fucking franchise. A whole franchise. Let's get you lined up. I rolled out the whole red carpet for you, bud. Good job. Good job. Fucking sick. It's fucking sick. Like, and even if it wasn't a fucking, the films weren't for Francis Ford Coppola and all his little fucking buddies, just that alone, that connection alone, and that welcoming back into the industry alone should tell you fucking enough. You know? And it took all that time. It took decades for it to catch up. For him to finally actually get a little bit of a consequence, you know?
On these scenes, I wanted to be able to shoot every scene in one without having to cut and make it work. And we were able to do that.
I wasn't scared of anybody on the set. Once again, kid from New York coming out to Hollywood. Nobody scared me. Kiefer Sutherland scared me. Kiefer Sutherland really made himself very menacing to the 4 of us. Looking back, he was doing it just to be a character and make sure that we were scared of him.
Like, I don't know, he's another, like, wild card. Kiefer Sutherland, he's a little bit of a wild card. But yeah, he definitely is, like, recurring theme just in the sense of the association, right? Like, because, yeah, Lost Boys and then this and so on and so forth. But I know, Hollow Crow. Yeah, welcome to the fucking Welcome to my world. I know. Once you've opened your eyes, like once you have eyes to see, you can't unsee the stuff. Like it's more and more all the time. Like once you start picking up on some stuff, it just is more confirmation everywhere you look, right? On Emilio thing, fucking Brock Pierce, who was he played the young Emilio in the Mighty Ducks movies. He went off to go work with Mark Collins' Rector, creating a whole big thing, filming scheme out of that Mark Collins Rector mansion where Bryan Singer and Kevin Spacey and all these gay A-list would go and party with the teenage boys. Where everybody, fucking Kevin Spacey's trying to come back and have a career now, and everyone's like, he was just gay, why did we persecute him? Oh, the poor guy, and now he's broke, oh no. No, why don't we talk about his friendship with Bryan Singer and all the parties? Let's talk about apt pupil, and like he partied with all those same people that worked on that movie, and Brad Renfro was there. Like, come on, guys, not you guys get it, but like the general public, they're still just, they're taking the official narrative and not looking beyond it, and like we all need to start having our eyes wide open here, Yeah, Donald Sutherland. I feel like there's something there too. There is, if you look close enough, you look hard enough, you're gonna find something, right? Like it's just what it is. But I think his dad might be a little more of the weird than he is, and then it's just a matter of where do you fit in between that, How do you navigate that? It's like Charlie Sheen wasn't the bad guy first, you know what I mean? He was learning all of that. It was from his dad, famous dad, and all their buddies and everything. He was picking up on all this shit, and then he was like a magnified, amplified version of everything he grew up taking in, right? Everything, all the experiences and wisdom from his dad and their friends, and then they're sitting there like, oh, he's just fucking, you got, what's his name? Oh, shit, I can't remember his name. Burt Reynolds. I think it's Burt Reynolds that worked with Martin Sheen. He was saying how like spoiled and shitty Charlie Sheen was, and he was just such a shit and causing such a shit time for the whole thing. And it's like, okay, but who do you think he learned it from? All you fucking guys. Who was he picking all this up from? What party world was he living in as a child that this was normal for him? That this all seemed like a regular Tuesday doing banging 7 gram rocks or whatever his fucking thing was when he went off on his tangent, right?
And man, it worked. I was scared of that dude.
Kiefer plays a great head.
I'm gonna read more into Donald Sutherland while this is going, and then we'll circle back to that for a sec. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I'm gonna be back with some info on that.
Heavy, and considering the fact that he is very soft-spoken, he is kind of a sweet guy and very intelligent person, and comes from a great theater background. I guess it's fun for him to get to play those parts.
He was just a bully. He was the worst nightmare, and we've all run into them in school. He was the bully. The driving force, certainly between Will Wheaton's character and mine, was that I had taken his brother's hat.
That's the hat that Denny gave to him, and that's the hat that means so much to Gordy. Anything that his brother would have given him, he loves his brother so much. His brother, he looked up to his brother, and his brother was the kind of buffer between him and his father.
I feel like this was the only way Rob Reiner knew how to have emotional experiences, was to, like, direct them through film. Like, I feel like this was his experience. This is how he had life experiences, or had the fantasy of the experiences he wanted to have. It sort of feels like with a lot of this shit, man. But, I don't know, Donald Sutherland, the dad, he's from Canada. I guess they're from Canada. I didn't even know that, so that was cool. Fun little tidbit. I don't know. He's been in a ton of shit. And I mean, if you're in a fucking 100 movies, there's a good chance, at least in 20 of them, you've crossed paths with some shitty fucking people. And that's just the name of the game. But he's got a lot going on, so it would take a little more than... Sometimes you can kind of just look briskly over a filmography or a little bit of like the rundown and get an idea of all the people they're working with and what kind of sphere they're in. But he's in so many different spheres. Like, I'm trying to go down through, and it's so many different decades, which is why the Reiner thing is going to take a little longer, too, because it goes back even beyond Rob Reiner. Carl Reiner already had set up a whole thing. And what did Rob Reiner grow up in that, like, all his friends think it's funny to make jokes about harm and trespasses against kids, right? Like, what kind of atmosphere are these people growing up in to become the shitty people that they end up being sometimes, Animal House. Yeah, I don't know. There's not anything jumping out at me. Sometimes things will just jump out at me. And that's why Kiefer Sutherland, too, is like a wild card. Because there's not necessarily anything jumping out at me. But I think if I looked hard enough, I could probably find some stuff. Funny enough, he was in the movie 6 Degrees of Separation in '93. Speaking of 6 Degrees of Separation, he was in A Time to Kill. That was an interesting film. But he's been in movies like forever, forever, forever. So, Pride and Prejudice. I feel like there was something weird on that set. I don't know though, because I'm just going. This is just me skimming through, so I can't make a proper assessment on this one. I don't think without. I'd have to look deeper. I'd have to look deeper. It's a wild card. That's a wild card family, because some of them are good people. Some of them aren't really bad people. They're just in an industry that's surrounded. They're surrounded by shitty people, and that's hard. That can be hard to navigate sometimes. You know. Julia Roberts. I don't like that they made selling yourself such a fun, happy little warm fuzzy happy ending little story. I think that whole Pretty Woman thing was like a psyop or something in a way. Maybe not a psyop, but like subliminal messaging. Like, yeah, come to Hollywood and you can sell yourself in the corner. Next thing you'll know, you'll be fucking with this rich billionaire guy having tea with the royals or whatever. Like, I don't know. I feel he was just giving the wrong message because it's not quite so happy-go-lucky endings like that. People get found in dumpsters, like in the beginning of the fucking movie, and then they're like, oh, but look at all the happiness that can come with it. Don't worry about getting the girl that got found in the dumpster in the beginning. Like, oh, that's a whole, I don't know. But her on her own as a person, I don't know. Like, she did like that Erin Brockovich. So that seemed like she was trying to be on the right foot. But she was with Kiefer Sutherland, yeah, for a bit. And Matthew Perry. Well, now we're getting a little weird because Matthew Perry had a weird ending. Oh, yeah, and then she was Tinkerbell. And in The Hook. Hook is weird. That's a movie where, again, TW theory, like a bunch of kids in not much clothing, and they're all rubbing their hands all over Robin Williams, which, see, this is where it's weird with Robin Williams, and I don't want to know if, like, I don't want to believe that Robin Williams is a bad guy, and maybe it's just a part of where he was in it, and then he started realizing and, like, didn't want to be part of that shit. I don't know. But that alone... And the movie alone is fucking weird because the author of Peter Pan, just first off, was especially interested in children and little boys. And Alice in Wonderland, especially interested in little girls. And somehow those are two of the most, like, celebrated and reproduced fucking literature, media, whatever, of all time. Right up there with, like, Wizard of Oz and shit, which, I don't know, that was telling us some stuff. But yeah, okay, I don't know. Again, she's a little more of the wild card. Because it seems like she's leaned enough on the good side of things, but how do we know? Some of these people could seem totally fucking like peaches on the outside, but then be really fucked up. Like, look at like people like, what is it, like Ted Bundy and shit. Like, everybody thought he was totally normal, upstanding, charismatic, nice young man, but what was he doing? You know?
So to take anything away from him that was his brother's would be most hurtful to Gordy. And the fact that to the older boys, it doesn't mean anything. They're just fooling around with him. They're just playing with him.
People ask me all the time, why didn't you make Ace give you your hat back at the end of the movie? I asked Rob that question. I think when we shot the thing, I said, why don't I get my hat back? And he said, he threw that hat away when he went around the corner.
Rob and I talked about that actually specifically. Because I remember my initial instinct was to put it on. And Rob said, no, it doesn't matter that much to you. You'd never mess up your hair.
Well, that scene creates tremendous sympathy for the young boys and paints the two older boys as really evil. And using a thing like the hat, which is very important to Gordy, we can communicate a tremendous amount and set up our villains and create a tremendous amount of sympathy for our heroes.
With regards to my character, he really came in to push them from point A to B to C to D. And Rob was really clear in telling me that. Be mean enough to make them go farther into the forest.
Oh, shit. I'm gonna have to get a new microphone because the mute button on this sometimes too is like computer's freezing. We're like trying to hit the mute button here, and the button's a little off, and then the hole for the headphones is a little off. So yeah, okay, we're back. Sorry. Yeah, this microphone, honestly, this has been a problem for like a year. This is going to be the next thing on my list of things, like when I get some extra money to fucking get a new mic, because the on and off button too on this microphone, sometimes it's like you've clicked it makes the click sound, but it's not clicked. So that's fun. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, no, the Julia Roberts thing, not so much Julia Roberts, but her brother a little bit. There's some legal issues, and there's some stuff going on there that I think if you look deep enough, if you look close enough, there's probably something there. But this is where you got the wild card situations. But where then if you look into, like I said, like the Francis Ford Coppola, and like he's got a lot of nieces and nephews and stuff that don't have the Coppola last name also. Like, what's his name? Jason Schwartzman, I think his name. And he worked with Brittany Murphy on the Spun movie, and there's just some interesting stuff when you start digging into the stuff that you do know for sure, like the weird stuff, like this is a weird thing, let's go from there, you know, like the Victor Salva, Francis Ford Coppola thing, like that's fucking weird. Let's build off of that. And then who is he friends with? Who do they connect with? What parties do they go to? You know, who do they associate with or whatever? Who's working with who, you know? Where, yeah, like the Julia Roberts, some of those legacy families, it's not quite as obvious. Like with Drew Barrymore, you can trace back some of the generational trauma and the issues, self-medication issues, that all these things, like as generational trauma goes down the line, the coping mechanisms come down the line too, right? So you can kind of trace some stuff back, and it's not great, but that doesn't mean that it was like evil either, you know, not necessarily. Where, I don't know, the grandpa though, the Barrymore grandpa was a little fucking weird, but I think a lot of them were with the age gap stuff during that era. They were spending a lot of time trying to normalize that shit, I think, between... Probably still are, I don't know, you know, like, if not more so actually now when you think about it, but maybe, but that's the narcissistic cult matrix we live in. Like, you're either playing their game or you're not, you're either in or you're out. Like, to an extent, they're all narcissists by being part of it, you know, so, like, it's a cult matrix, and everybody's fighting it and defending it, and like, Right now, you got all the flying monkeys smearing the scapegoat of the Reiner family, and already, like, tried, convicted, let's execute him. Like, everybody's, like, you know, already, like, he did it, he's guilty, he's crazy, he's a crazy murderous junkie, like, death penalty, yeah. Like, everybody's already jumping on that, but we don't even know who did it or what exactly happened. Like, as far as we know, really, he left, whatever, he went and checked into a hotel, he looked completely normal, he didn't have blood on him, he had nothing going on. There wasn't blood till they got into the room after he'd left. So it kind of just suggests he was self-harming, not hurting somebody else. So, like, I don't know. Like, it seems like a crime of opportunity. Anybody at that party that witnessed the big heated argument that might have had a vendetta against Rob Reiner, maybe, and then knowing maybe that they take fucking Ambien to go to sleep after a certain hour or something, like maybe close enough in the circle, crime of opportunity, knowing it was going to get pegged on the fucking brother or the kid, the son, right? Like, so who really fucking knows? Who really fucking knows? What does Red Brick Road mean? It's just all the darkness, all the people's lives lost, trauma, addictions, which we don't really want to use that word anymore. It's more, clinically, it's substance abuse disorders, but I kind of refer it to like self-medication, because really the root cause of all these issues is trauma, and then the dependency on different substances is like a self-soothing. It's a self-medicating. Not great. It's not really necessarily the way to do it, but we have to start changing the frame of how we have these conversations and the language around it, and stop demonizing people that have suffered the most, that are just trying to stay here with us, just trying to keep it together however they know how, you know. And a lot of times it's not that the self-medication itself is genetic. It's that's just what everybody in the family's been doing all those years, and that's traveled down the line. And you got to think too, like, we evolve for self-defense and self-preservation. So if all of our ancestors were drinking to deal with their pain, probably our first go-to is drinking for our pain. You know, not great, but also who introduced all these things? Who introduced the alcohol? Who introduced all the pharmaceuticals and stuff? Like the heroin and cocaine to begin with was a pharmaceutical. You could get it at the drugstore. You could get it in your fucking toothache medicine for the kids. in cough syrup for the kids. Heroin, cocaine, opium, whatever, like all this crazy shit just for people to get through the pain of their day, whether it's the back-breaking work they were doing or the pain, mental pain that everyone was going through, and then after the war and da-da-da-da-da. All of that is that's the generational thing down the line. It's not that it's fucking in your genes that, oh, yep, no, you're an addict, you have a disease. Like, that's not it. We've been doing it wrong all these years. That's not how it is. So, I don't know, like, when you see the Red Brick Road is following those connections of where there's smoke, there's fire, where there's substance problems, where people are self-medicating, heavily narcotic self-medicating in their teens, probably something really fucked up happened in their childhood, you know? Somebody is committing parricide in their early adulthood, like even Rob Reiner's words himself. Anyone that's in jail, everyone in jail for a violent crime had a nightmare childhood. Well, you know, so maybe we should start thinking about how we deal with trauma and people trying to self-soothe and self-medicate, and how we deal with all this stuff instead of demonizing, like, nope, you're powerless, you're a piece of shit, you have a disease, you're diseased. And if you don't fucking fit in with our cult and play our game and fit into our narcissistic cult matrix, you're the problem. Let's lock you away for another fucking 10 months, bounce you around 18 different facilities, and you still come out the other end and end up taking the lives of your fucking parents. So maybe, you know, maybe all the money and the resources and the programs and the facilities in the world still aren't the fucking answer for certain types of complex trauma and pain continuing to exist within a family. Like, maybe the trauma and abuse is continuing to happen because it's a psychological warfare and emotional violence happening always in the family. Like the narcissistic cult family dynamics are abusive, and generally it's a scapegoat. One scapegoat gets fucking singled out. They're carrying all the fucking pain and trauma of the whole fucking family, and it's all fucking, they're used as the outlet. Like, they're the problem. That's why everyone has a problem. That's why everyone's stressed, because the one big problem in the family, who, oddly enough, also happens to be the one that's probably gone through the most trauma in the family. It's crazy, right? But it all connects. It all goes hand in hand. It's all going hand in hand, you know? And because Hollywood promotes such a narcissistic quality in people, like, to fit in and to get in and to be with the in crowd, you have to be a fucking narcissist. You have to be a piece of fucking shit that gives a shit what people think about your fucking shit. Like, look, I have daisies in my shit. Look at my shit. Guys, check out my shit. Yeah, I know. Like, cool shit. Nobody fucking cares. Like, the circle jerking and the shit smelling, everybody wearing each other's asses as hats at these fucking functions and shit, it's a bunch of bullshit. Who fucking cares? It's creating toxicity. It's creating, like, it's just whatever. Fuck them.
Be mean enough to make them go find the body. In the end, be mean enough to make them stand up.
I lived in a farmhouse, and there were a number of connected sheds behind it. And at the back of the third or fourth shed, at the end of the line anyway, there was a ladder up the side and a trap door, and there was this skirgy loft room. We cleaned it up a little bit. We put in a table so we could play scat for pennies or rummy or whatever. It was a place where we could be.
It was a real treehouse that they really built in a real tree, and it was so cool.
I asked somebody, was this treehouse here when we came up here? They're like, no, the set designer built it. This is all designed. And I remember, wow, this looks like a real treehouse.
One thing that I remember from that whole sequence is the whole thing with the secret knock. I was 12 years old, and I said, you know what would be cool? Is if he does the thing, and I say it's not secret knock, and he says, I forget secret knock, and then we all look at each other and we all say Vern. And it's in the movie.
We came up with that in rehearsal, and we came up with the fact that Vern never could remember the secret knock, no matter what, and he would say, it's Vern, let me in. No, you don't do the secret knock. You can't, even though they knew it was him, they didn't want to let him in. I mean, every kid, can remember having a treehouse. I mean, I had one when I was that age. I built it with my friend David Krautheimer, and it was not quite as elaborate as the one in Stand By Me, but we had it, and we used to go up and sit in it, and you felt all powerful when you were in that treehouse.
When I was in college, there was a trestle that went across the river.
Oh, yeah. Well, like in Stephen King, too. Okay, so here's this. When Stephen King was writing the scene at the end of it in the book, I'm fairly certain it was, like, and maybe I could be wrong, but the timeline of it, I believe that's when Drew Barrymore was staying over and hanging out with his kids. and he was like making them grilled cheeses and stuff, hanging out, all these kids. And then while that was all happening, and even if it was not at the exact same time, it was either an inspiration before or after, the scene where all the kids are doing adult things together at the end of the book, and that's supposed to indicate their like passage into adulthood at the end of the book. It obviously they're not showing that shit in the movies that they keep fucking giving us that nobody asked for. But yeah, they're while you got a bunch of kids in your house hanging out, you're writing a fucking group scene among children for your book, for all your buddies, for all your good buddies that you're catering to. Like, it just, yeah, he's fucking kind of weird. I don't know. That alone is weird. Why and then he says, oh, well, it's weird that people think that that's more weird than the kids getting killed in my work. Well, if that's what the fucking description of the book is, or the movie, that, oh, it's a scary clown that's gonna kill the kids and it's a horror book, oh shit, that is scary. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to read. That's the story I'm looking for. But then you've got kids doing things with each other that they're exploring, curious, whatever the fuck kids do. But then having we know that sometimes that shit happens among kids, but like to have an adult writing about that while his kids are hanging out with some other kids, that weird shit's obviously happened to, because then they have a cocaine addiction at 13, right? Like Drew Barrymore ended up having a ton of fucking problems throughout. I don't know. It just seems weird. It maybe is, I don't know. Couldn't be, maybe nobody's guilty of anything and I could be fucking crazy, like I said, but
And one of the rites of passage at that time was that you had to go out and cross the Stillwater River on the trestle.
There was one scene when they were on the trestle and they were running, in front of the train. Now, the train was so far behind them that there was no real danger that anything would happen to them. And when I had a close-up of them, when they were running, I wanted them to be, terrified and crying and all this. And when we shot it, they weren't doing it.
Rob didn't think we were scared enough. He didn't believe that we were scared. And I remember it's the one time Rob raised his voice at me and at Jerry also.
And we had a dolly track set up where the dolly grips were pulling this camera along a dolly track and trying to keep up with them running like this. And it was hard. They would one after the other. And finally I said to them, you two, I says, if you're not going to be frightened, I said, these men are tired.
Yeah, because, like, green screen didn't exist back then. Like, we needed to make it as real as possible and actually have kids running in front of a train and trying to fucking act while they know it's pretend, but then they have to be traumatized, so you're going to try to traumatize them as much as you can, but make them feel bad that you're trying to do it the real way and not just using a fucking green screen, which would make the most sense to be the most safe with all of those children's lives with a fucking coming train. Sure, maybe it's further back, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but, like, accidents can fucking happen, man, and if that shit couldn't stop at the right time, kid gets a shoe stuck in the, like, I don't know, man. I just, like, you're talking about, a trestle, that sounds nice. No, you're talking about a train bridge. A bridge, you're going to try to get the kids to outrun a train over the bridge far enough ahead to film a real scene of kids outrunning a fucking train. Cool. Yeah. Smart. This is why things happen. This is why accidents happen. Like, let's ask the guys, fucking, what is it, Landis and Spielberg for Twilight Zone, Vic Morrow and the two kids, because they wanted to have a really cool fucking special effects that the kids shouldn't have been there at that hour. Those kind of special effects shouldn't have been happening near them, the pyrotechnics and shit. And what happened? What happened when you break the rules and try to do risky things for the sake of a fucking entertainment scene? The scene in a film for our entertainment. Yeah, D. Kazemi knows.
They don't want to push this camera anymore. They're tired, and they don't. And the reason I have to keep pushing it is because of you. You're not doing what. And I started yelling like this at him. I said, and if you're not worried, if you're not going to cry because you're worried about that train coming after you, you better start crying because I'm going to come after you. Like this, I started, and then they started crying. I said, roll the camera. And they started running, and they're crying.
I remember Rob screaming and it like really upsetting me. And like that, when you're a kid and you start to like shake and maybe cry.
If you don't behave and do exactly what I want, I will scream at you until you do it, basically. That sounds like the kind of director he is. That's cool. They hadn't been yelled at yet, but he wanted what he wanted in that scene. Didn't want to have to edit. Didn't want to have to do a fucking green screen. Didn't want to have to just do it how it's so easily fucking done without there being danger. That he screams at them. Maybe that's just a glimpse of the kind of guy he is behind closed doors more often. You know, let's just keep screaming. Let's scream at him and make him terrified, and then it'll be better for the shot anyway, because he'll be crying and traumatized and more scared. Perfect, right? Like, probably, right? Like, think about how he was directing his household, because we already know the Father of the Year thing was a performance. It was all a performance. The early childhood shit, the whole, oh, we're so healed and I so understand my son, and oh, my personal journey of suffering through my son's suffering. Like, what the fuck? Shut up. That was all performing, right? So, like, like, we gotta really wonder what kind of guy he is behind closed doors, and like the things that we do hear are coming out on sets, and what he was doing that seemed to be okay, what was normalized and what was acceptable. You know, it's got to be cranked up to 20 in somewhere else, like behind closed doors, or you know, in certain instances.
A little bit, maybe it all sort of comes out.
And they finished it, and they ran off camera, and they went, Rob, see, we did it.
And he's not like just some little guy. He's a fucking Jabba the Hutt over here, yelling at these little fucking kids. Like, and you look at his kids. There's like the one picture that I shared in the episode one there, of showing like just like look at this gargantuan man and look how little these kids are next to him. Like his little kids, like Nick especially being even littler at the time. And you think, like, if that guy's got you backed in a corner and screaming in your fucking face, or, like, picking you up and throwing you, or doing anything physical against you, even without the physical, just the terror of it all, of being a very big fucking person that could literally squash you, that's screaming in your fucking head, or screaming in your face, you know, and putting all the shit in your head, it's like, I don't know, man, I can see where the directing of the household, like he's performing as a father, and then perhaps how he was a director of the household, like, you know, I don't know. You gotta wonder.
We were crying. And they were so excited, and they jumped on top of me, and they were so happy. At a moment, I felt a little bit, oh, should I have pushed them?
Well, because then you were happy. They wanted your approval, and they wanted your validation. So you getting them terrified, and then them giving the fucking response and the performance you wanted, then they were happy, and they were excited that you finally were like, yeah, good job, guys. Done. Let's move on to the next thing. Like, the way he's framing this and the way that it actually is like they were terrified, and they were just relieved that they did the right thing and not the wrong thing again, and that you weren't going to fucking be a tyrant. Like, let's be for real, dude. He's like, they were so excited that they did the scene right. No, they were excited that you weren't gonna keep screaming at them. Like, come on, you fucking meathead. Exactly.
But I knew it was okay. I knew it'd be okay, because they trusted me, and they felt comfortable enough with me to be able to do that. And then they were great, and they were so happy for it.
So you're saying because you had, like, riled them up with all the sugar and the video games, and you gave them the cool little fucking treehouse on the set and all this fun kid stuff, you were like their best friend, then you screamed in their fucking face. Oh my god. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I just the way he's perceiving it and the way the reality of it is just like, it's a whole different fucking thing. It's a whole different thing.
Man, like, looking back, how brilliant was Rob Reiner? I mean, look at the performance he got out of me. That's not me acting when that train is chasing me. That's Rob Reiner. That's all Rob Reiner.
Yeah, that's trauma-based mind control. Oh my god, this is awful. Like, I knew this whole thing was gonna be a bunch of things, you know, but like, and then you're just done one movie with him. Like, you've done the one movie, you had a couple moments where he screamed at you, and it was like, shit, but oh good, like, you got a great performance out of me, everyone was happy, I got the validation and approval, and everyone loved the movie. Awesome, great. But, like, imagine that's your dad, though, and it's like every time, all the time, on a fucking holiday, or on your fucking first week of school you did something wrong, or on a fucking Tuesday afternoon something goes wrong, and, like, that's where he gets to get his way. To get the performance out of you that he wants, to get the behavior, to get the accepting and management style, like the control. It's a control thing. Like, how many times in the household was he becoming that person to get the children fucking terrified to do exactly what they want, and then be super happy that he's happy with them and their performance because they just so badly want the validation and approval? How many times, right? One time per movie, maybe, but then how many times throughout the kid's life? And if it was more zeroed in on Nick, because obviously seems like Jake's a little more well-adjusted,
It's very rare to find directors who know how to get in there and mix it up. Come on, let's get in.
Also, fuck this guy, because literally his son is one of the people that accused Kevin Spacey and said that he got felt up while his dad was in the fucking room. And almost like, oh, well, my dad didn't know. That's how sneaky and insidious and whatever it is. All this other shit. And the way I'm looking at it is like, how is your kid getting felt up in the fucking same room as you and you do not fucking notice the fucking terror cues coming out of your kid's face? Because the kid probably froze. Well, he did freeze. Like, this is the whole, when you read the thing, the fucking documents. It was this fucking guy's son, is one of the guys, one of the kids that had stuff happening to him, like under the table next to the dad sitting there. They're all having dinner together, something like that. Like, I can't remember exactly the fucking details. You'd have to look into it yourself. But it's interesting, the people that overlap, and he's like, oh yeah, what a wonderful director. He traumatized them so well, and then they were happy about it. They were happy that the trauma got the performance he wanted. What good little slaves. If only they could all be such good little slaves for every fucking movie. You know? Anyways, sorry. Like, fuck, follow the red brick road here, guys. You're gonna see some stuff. It's going on a whole fucking tour. Red brick tour.
And do this performance. Let's design some moments. Let's change this and do that. Very few directors bother anymore.
If I'm any good as a director at all, it's because I was an actor. I think everything I do, I approach from the standpoint of an actor. And it's like a coach of a sports team. I would never ask an actor to do something that I couldn't do. In other words, if I'm asking a ball player to stop and hit a 20-foot jump shot, I better be able to hit to stop and hit a 20-foot jump shot under pressure.
Yeah. No, Kubrick was bad for that too. What was it, like 127 takes for the stair scene? And yeah, he treated her really badly on The Shining, but then The Shining did end up turning out to be a really good fucking movie. So look how it was normalized. It's like, well, this is how it's done, right? Which is fucked. It's totally fucked. It doesn't make it okay, but you can see how it was normalized, this whole method acting. Really? What methods? What methods? Is it a little bit of MK methods? A little bit of a fucking psychological warfare and emotional violence methods to get people to a peak of trauma or a peak of whatever fucking sadness you're trying to reach? Terror, little children terrified. Like, the Spielberg gets them to do a scream for no even fucking reason for movies, and it's like, why were you gonna scream in this movie? This is like part of his auditions. He gets the kid to scream. Wonder what he's gonna do. That's weird. It's kind of weird. What's it with kids and screaming? And maybe, like, fucking... I don't know. I just don't know. But where do you draw the line between having, like, the methods of a great director and madness? Like, it's a fine line between genius and insanity, right? Where do we draw the line?
And so I will never ask an actor to make a transition that I can't make.
And I think it was because he was so proficient as an actor, and still is, that he can allow you to feel like you're discovering a moment when in fact he's telling you it.
And she was so damaged. I don't think she even realized how damaged she was after that. And, like, yeah, maybe some of the situations turn out and they're able to keep it together, but sometimes they're not. And sometimes it's just not the way. Like, that we can still get great performances out of people without pushing them to their fucking limit. Like, yes, like I just said earlier, like, Kubrick's a wild card because there's notches on both sides of the good and bad and the ugly. On all sides, you know. So that one's a wild card, but it's, like, the way that was normalized to mistreat people to get the performance you wanted of them, like, maybe there's a different way. Like, you never seen Monsters, Inc.? You're going to get a lot farther from treating people kindly and, you know, with a good heart and good intentions than you're going to get out of the fucking terrifying them to get what you want out of them. You know? There's more going on all the time. And Shelley obviously is going to praise the director that helped with her career that ended up being a fucking fantastic movie that did a lot of the box office. Like, you guys got to realize the difference between PR and how people actually feel. Like, the whole time, the fucking Being Charlie movie, the whole time, they're like, yeah, we got to play up the father-son thing and how good and healthy and, oh, we're doing so great. Let's play it up for the press so that it sells the movie better, right? But the whole thing was fake. That's probably what made it even clearer to Nick, that the whole thing was a performance and that it was fake and that it wasn't actually the dad going to try to fucking bond and gain any new understanding or have any kind of connection. It was about one project to the fucking next. Probably most of his time he'd spent paying attention to the kid his whole fucking life, but then when he was done with him and he was done putting on the whole performance, on to the next, right? So I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's kind of abusive. That, like, yeah, like, that kind of, the whole thing is abusive. This is, like, the psychological warfare of it all. The emotional violence that nobody wants to talk about it. We're okay. We finally get to the point where we can talk about the physical harms and trespasses against people. But when are we going to talk about the extent of damage that psychological stuff can cause, you know?
As I grew older, I started to hear about the actor's director, and I realized, oh, well, that's Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner's the actor's director. And most actors like to work with actors' directors. It's just the difference between someone who understands what actors do versus someone who's more concerned with the technical aspects of things. Well, they had dug a big hole for this swamp and filled it up with water. And we all had wetsuits.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, they end up talking about specifically the leech seed. So this actually is probably gonna they're gonna say some shit here. But we're coming up on 2 hours. Do you guys, you cool? We take like 2 minute, maybe we take a 2 minute break, use the facilities. I've been drinking an awful lot of coffee, and I'm gonna use a trip with another cup and use the facilities here quick, stretch my legs a bit. I do a lot of sitting for this work. And it's good to get up and stretch here and there. But rather than like leave it playing and me leave and walk out of the room and not be here for it, maybe we do a quick 2 minutes, and everybody, if you got to get a refill on your drinks or get snacks, use facilities, stretch them legs, because this is gonna get darker. This is about to get fucking 10 shades darker, because they're about to talk about the scene that's like one of the more disturbing examples of the TW theory. And for those that haven't read the article yet, this is actually going to be a perfect opportunity to explain it too. So just get your preparation goggles on and your critical thinking helmets. Because morning, incoming, dark. But yeah, all right. So 2 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever, and then we'll take a quick break and be right back. There we go. All right, cool. I didn't have a tune lined up for it, but I've been messing around with making more music for different themes and things for the background of videos to do get that vibe that I'm looking for, and the funny little pixel music seemed like it fit. Like the 8-bit spooky old school retro kind of felt like the right vibe for our BRB here. So I think we're gonna keep that one. I hope you guys like that one. Got a couple funny little ones. I thought I should maybe, instead of leaving you guys on dead noise here. But yeah, this is kind of fun. It's kind of fun sometimes just doing like the like freestyling and just kind of going down the red brick road, just exploring together and discussing and whatever, you know, not having a necessary beginning, middle, or end planned. Just go for it, you know. Thank you guys. Welcome back. We'll give you guys another minute before we start it up again. And let me catch up with you guys in the chat here. But yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are enjoying it too. Yeah, you know, Melissa Costin, trauma prawn. Sometimes it's more of a voyeuristic thing. Sometimes the way people explore some of it, and then it's like to the people that enjoy it, the people that enjoy that kind of content, you know. Like I like horror movies, but only like I really more so like the psychological thriller types where it's like a reflection of realism. I don't like anything with too much gore or too much excessive trauma, violence, like adult themes, like different things that it's just not necessary for the fucking story. It's not necessary. Like you can have like some of the best fucking horror movies I've ever seen. You don't see shit. Like Psycho was a fantastic movie, and there was a lot going on there psychologically, but there was very little gore, very little, like you couldn't barely see anything. You saw some of the blood in the shower or whatever, but you didn't need to see it to get the fucking point of the horror of it all, you know. And I think if you write a really good story or you're really good at what you do, you don't, like, it can be implied. It's implied, you know, the scene can be implied. You don't need to have slaughter and violence and nudity and all this stuff to tell a fucking good story, you know. But anyways, yeah, good to have the break. It's good to stretch legs and, yeah, get the blood flowing again and keep her going. Once you get into a longer stream, too, like if it's only an hour and a half or so, it's like, yeah, it's cool, we're good. But once you get to 2 hours and we're still going to be here a minute, you know, or a few hours, maybe another hour or two, then it's good to get that break in between. Thank you, Divine Spark. Thank you, everybody. And welcome to all the new folks joining us. It's always nice to have more good vibes in the tribe. More folks joining and everybody, you know, it's just, it's nice for everybody to feel less alone and be able to talk about this kind of stuff. And, you know, sometimes seeing all this stuff can be isolating because not everybody sees it. You try to talk about it sometimes to people and they just think you're nuts. So when you can find the tribe of people that everybody kind of gets it and they're all on the same level, it's good. Oh, Shutter Island. Yeah, that's an interesting movie. That's a twisteroo at the end if I ever saw one. The inner limits of the mind are like infinite. It's infinite. There's infinite bounds of what kind of cause and effect can impact the mind versus physical things. Physical factors and environmental factors, you know? Hey, Mickey King. Welcome, anybody just joining us. Christina Darling, isn't that from something? That's from something, isn't it? Or is that actually your name? Sorry if it is, but it's reminding me, what is it, like the Dalmatian movie or something, isn't it? Darling. The people. I think that's the last name, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe I need more sleep. It's been a long week. Yeah, it's just not necessary. I feel like the 70s and 80s especially were like everything needed to be erotic. We had like erotic sci-fi, erotic historical drama, erotic horror, thriller, woo, all this bullshit. Like, why? Why did they all have to be naked? That's weird. It was like really cutting the line between, you know. Yeah, Mommy Dearest. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm alluding to, I guess, in such a way with like, or it's like a nod to it in for the title of the Rob Reiner series that I started, the Goodnight Daddy Dearest. That's sort of where that's coming from. Where, yeah, it's a little different. It's the mom, and it was an adopted kid. It's a little different, but just showing how people that are, like, really revered and celebrated and loved by their audience maybe aren't necessarily always the nicest fucking people. And you never know what's going on behind closed doors as parents with their children, you know? Yeah. None of it's necessary. There's so many. Like, if you really start to, hey, welcome back, Salami. Salami Joyce? I don't know if I've been saying it right. In my head when I was reading it before, too, when you were in the chat before, I don't know if I've been thinking it and saying it right in my head, but Salami has returned. Yeah, like once you've read the TW theory and you start thinking back to movies that you remember as a kid, like, you could probably think of at least 10. And, like, I can give examples, but it's like, I don't even need to name them all. You guys will know. Once you know what it is, what the theory is, how it kind of applies. And like I said, I will start adding more to it, and because it does involve more than just the TW part of the theory, there's so much more to it. And yeah, when you think of putting kids in terrifying scenes, that could be a trauma just by being in the scene, whether that actually happened to them or not, there's trauma there, right? So, yeah, like there's going to be more to the theory. It was a developing theory when I posted it back in early November, and then I kind of, been going off doing other stuff. I was working on the Hollywood's Hidden Curriculum as well, the book that's basically like, there's the playbook that they play out of, and then there's the imagery and the patterns you see, and they kind of goes hand in hand in a way. You're going down the red brick road either way, right? But all of that was before the Reiner stuff happened, and all of it intertwines, because the Rob Reiner Stand By Me was one of the more disturbing examples of the TW theory, which is about to come up. I feel like they're going to go into it right here, is the beside the swamp, and they get covered in leeches, and they end up taking off all their fucking clothes. And honestly, I maybe should have just blurred this. I'm going to actually just throw a blur on top of a blur here, because we don't really need to see them all in their tidy fucking whiteys to get the fucking gist of the scene. And this is all like ways that they were exploiting kids, because it's like, well, if you don't do it for the scene, we'll get another kid that does it. And that's like with Apt Pupil, that a bunch of kids from that movie had made claims and accusations against Bryan Singer, because they were basically told, well, for this shower scene, usually the kids, everybody, they wear the little Speedos, the nude colored Speedos to cover things up. But they pretty much told the kids, well, like, either you take them off for this scene, or we find people, well, we'll replace you. Like, we'll find people whose kids will do it for us, basically, right? So they were put on the spot. And none of that scene was even necessary. That whole scene wasn't even fucking necessary. And then you got to think how many different camera angles, how many different other shots were being made that wasn't even for the movie, and it served no purpose as to, like, the artistic merit of the movie. Like, kids got a bunch of fucking leeches on them. Maybe this is too much. We're maybe getting a little excessive. But you guys know the scene. Most of you know the scene where they go and jump in and they're swimming. Maybe I'll just censor it as we go, because I don't know. It's like, we don't need to re-traumatize these kids. They don't even realize how much it's an exploitation, because they don't even necessarily understand what's fucking happening, where none of us are supposed to understand either. Like, this is like their secret code, or their secret way of communicating and or showing and like catering to a certain clientele or a certain audience without the other audience knowing. It's all secret, right? So, but you start noticing the patterns, and for ones that are convicted and ones aren't, I don't know how much you're going to see. I'll try to censor it as we go, and maybe they're not going to even show as much of it, because it is fucking weird, and they started taking out these scenes later in movies, like the North scene from 1994 that I was talking about, that was the same year Nick Reiner was born. Rob was working on North with Elijah Wood, and they put him on full display with the harness. They have him hanging in a paraglider, and basically, like, front and center, they've got him on full display. And as far as he's concerned, nothing ever happened to him in the industry, but who's to say that stuff on its own wasn't an exploitation, right? And it's nasty, and you start seeing the patterns, and once you see it, you start seeing it in a lot of these fucking movies by some of the same people and some of the same spheres of people. So then this is where you start to get the fucking clue, where you're like, no wonder all these kids end up on drugs. No wonder they all end up fucked up by the time they're adults and start realizing what the fuck was really going on, Here, I'll go back a bit to the beginning of that, because I kind of just started skimming through her here. All right, here we go.
And filled it up with water. We all had wetsuits and stuff on underneath, but it was still really gross, because there was mud in the water, you couldn't see through it and everything, and it was cold. I remember it being so cold.
Hold on, we don't need this yet. I'm just prepared for it. Because it is weird, and the more you think about it, and the more you understand these people that are around, and there's so much to it. It's like, it's just so much weirder the more you realize,
Yes, the water was cold, but I kind of had issues with those guys that day. I mean, here we are. It was a scene. It's a big scene. We go in there.
like, why would you take a scene out of a movie if there was no problem with it? Like, if it's not a form of censorship for to an extent. Like, oh, maybe it wasn't right to have an 8-year-old's junk front and center with the harness from the paraglider thing and the shorts, and you've pretty much got kids' junk, like, being put in your face front and center for, like, 5 fucking minutes for no reason. To have a conversation about moving to Hawaii or whatever the fucking scene is about. Because he's trying to find new parents, which that's interesting too. That just the theme of North, like, Nick's born and you're working on a movie where the kid divorced his parents because they were emotionally unavailable and too busy and so full of their own shit that he's going on a journey to trying to find better parents. That's the whole fucking movie. And then they've got the TW stuff going on throughout it. Like, a few people in the comments, which thanks again, guys, like, pointing this stuff out. Like, you guys that went and read the article and then already in the comments, like, oh yeah, already with Reiner over here, over there, check this out. And I'm like, oh fuck, like, that's more than I even bargained for. Like, I know about the Stand By Me thing, but then in North, and then you're looking at the Lord of the Flies, like some of these other movies that his company was doing, but he wasn't necessarily attached to it, but the company was. And you start picking up on all this stuff all along way. It's like, oh fuck, no wonder. Like, let's ask River Phoenix why Nick did what he did. Maybe he knows, you know.
The leeches, Will Wheaton's character faints. It's like a pretty important scene. And I was like, this is so funny. We're going to make believe we're walking and we're going to fall in a pool. And these guys were like, I remember.
Yeah, it's so funny. All the foot stuff and the Dan Schneider stuff was so funny too. For a kid, it's all so funny. Yeah, it's so funny. We're going to get covered in leeches and then we're going to take our fucking clothes off for a scene in a movie that's so fucking unnecessary. And they might actually not even fully show it. Like, they're doing more like key frames, so we might not even have to see the whole thing. But it's one of the more long, excruciating, like, you gotta imagine how long these kids were standing around in their tighty whities too, with like a bunch of adults around, all the different camera angles. They're fucking like, and as far as they know, they're just making a silly movie. It's a silly scene, right? But you gotta think of the crimes of opportunity, you know. And if the shit's happening a big bug hole on a movie set where he's getting stripped down his tighty whities for no fucking reason, and films where they're getting stripped down from a shower scene for no fucking reason, like, maybe there's a little bit of pattern there. I don't know. What do I know? I'm nuts.
Thinking, this is the only time I ever thought on the set. I was like, yo, these guys are way too Hollywood.
I was always curious as to what things actually happened to Stephen King and what things were made up. And he told me about this scene with the leeches.
We go in, and it was great, and we're splashing around and grab-assing like kids do, you know? And all at once, my friend Dave...
Okay, yeah, here we go. So, hold on, let me cover this up. So this is even more interesting, though, the fact that it's like, this is based on his... This is a nice memory that Stephen King had when he was a little boy and got naked with all of his friends. This is my favorite memory. I needed to put it into a story. So that's interesting, in a way, I feel like. And especially knowing some of the other scenes he was writing involving children. And it's making my stomach churn. Like, I almost have to pause just to fucking, like... Yeah, running around, grab-assing. Yeah, we could even go back so you can hear that one more time, because if that wasn't fucking telling enough as it is, then we can probably make this even more intense, so we don't have to. We don't have to re-victimize these children. I don't think they even realize. Some of them, like, a lot of them probably don't even realize they were victims. That's why the kids didn't get a Me Too, because all of it was under the guise of humor and fun and coming of age and, oh, we're just exploring the joy of youth. Like, bullshit. Bull fucking shit. You sick fucks. Anyways, Jesus Christ. Okay, here we go.
David Hannon did a handstand. You know, he went down and his legs come up out of the water and like that. And I thought it was mud at first. And I got a little closer and I go, Jesus Christ.
Okay, they're not like fully showing it, but so you can see though, like they basically got the kids all stripped down because they all got leeches. They all jumped into the water together and they all got covered in leeches. So then you see the kids fucking stripping down. Like, yeah, no, we should cover this. This is still not great. You can see why I would want to cover this, right? Like, I'm not the fucking weird one, right? It's weird to have a bunch of fucking little kids for no fucking reason. And it's special, though. It's special to Stephen King to have that scene in there because that's his favorite fucking, one of his favorite memories as a little kid. Him and all his buddies getting in the water and getting naked together. Cool. It's a cool idea for a grown man to put into a film so that he could have a bunch of little boys act it out. That's cool. That's also very cool that all those Castle Rock movies, and Castle Rock being a nod to Stephen King. It's like the fake, the pretend town that he references a lot in his work. So right away, you know, Rob Reiner, an ode to Stephen King, made his company Castle Rock Entertainment. And then there's like these movies. And you know, which movies did they do? Like, let's start thinking about it. Which ones did they do that kind of fit the theory? And like with the Peter Pan thing, and why is that your favorite story when we know it's written by a person interested in children? I mean, you know, like Predators, straight Predators, that because of the time and the era, like, it was okay that Lewis Carroll wrote a story as out of love to the little kid he was in love with, Alice Little, with D's, Liddle. You can look it up. Don't fucking take my word for it. Do your own research, draw your own conclusions. But he ended up being able to photograph a ton of kids over time, because he wrote the best kids story of all time, and all these kids loved it, and the parents loved it, and they loved rubbing shoulders with a famous guy. And he wrote love letters to little kids. He did photographs with little kids. It is very well known that he was really into little kids, and for some reason, Alice in Wonderland and, you know, Peter Pan maybe not so upfront about his interest in the little boys, but both stories were written by pretty well-known people that were enticing children with their work, basically. Like, the stories are meant to entice children on purpose, right? Like, that was the purpose. And that's our most celebrated. Then Edgar Allan Poe, one of our most revered horror writers from before time, before Stephen King. Guess what? His 13-year-old cousin. Yep, they married. Yep, Edgar Allan Poe. One of the most quoted and celebrated fucking horror writers of all time. Next to Stephen King, and I guess like H.P. Lovecraft, and there's some other gutters that aren't maybe as weird, but, oh, bro, like, it just goes on and on and on. Goes on and on.
Over the shore, and we were all covered with it.
Everybody felt safe.
For fuck's sakes, it's hard to fucking... Hold on. Whatever, you get the gist of it. I feel like I don't want it to re-traumatize them, and I want to try to block this as best I fucking can, but, like... On the surface, it is innocent. There isn't really anything wrong with it. Like, it's the same as if kids were wearing bathing suits. There's not really anything wrong with it. You wouldn't really think, right? But when you really think about it, and when you see this same imagery in films by people that are convicted for crimes against those children, with the same outfits, the same scenes, the same kind of shit, and this is, if anything, Rob Reiner's version is, if anything, worse than the Jeepers Creepers guy's version. Like, the beginning of Clown House, where his version, it's the kid getting out of bed, and you see him kind of from here, this angle, that angle, like, you know he's in tighty whities, but he's not, like, it's not as much of a fucking obvious thing. Like, this seems even more obvious that it's something fucking creepy than what the Victor Salva convicted Predator was doing for his films. It's like they were getting away with more and more and more, so it's like, I wonder how much more we can get away with. You know?
Safe and secure because it was a man-made pool. We're not walking out into the middle of the forest and just dumping into some awful, swamp that's been there for 50 years. But here's the joke of it. We started the movie like in June, and we finished like in August. So they built the thing in June. So it was still sitting out there in the middle of the forest with all the trees and the swamps and the bugs and everything. So, I mean, it was by that time, by August when we got to filming in the damn thing, it was an actual swamp.
I have been told by people of my parents' generation that the really deep debate about the nature of Goofy and Wagon Train and all of that is something that they all had.
It's very common now for people to do that in movies and TV shows, to reach back to their own history and their own past and bring back the 70s or the 80s or whatever. But I think that Rob was the first guy to do that.
Well, you think, too, that, like, the main concern back then was the hygienic factor of it. It was like, oh, okay, well, they made a man-made pool that was supposed to replace the swamp, so we didn't actually have to jump in a swamp, but then they let it sit out there and rot for 2 months in the hot summer sun and forest, everything falling in it, so by then it was an actual swamp. And then they're thinking of the health factors of that, and it's like, okay, that's probably not great. Same, still not a great thing, but then totally glossing over the fact that, like, they had the kids stripping down and doing the thing. Because, again, it seems all very innocent on the surface. Because nobody's really doing anything. Nobody's physically harming them or trespassing against them that we know of. Unless you're Bug Hall doing the same kind of scene on a different movie for a different thing. But, this is like, I don't know. It's just a theory. It's a developing theory. And who's to say any of it really fucking means anything? But it's something I'm noticing, that the more research I'm doing, I'm noticing these same scenes coming up and I'm noticing it's for no fucking reason, and there are kids that have come forward saying that scenes like that, doing scenes like that, have caused distress to them. Like some people, like Natalie Portman and Jodie Foster and all these people have come forward being like, oh yeah, those movies where I had to play a prostitute when I was 12 was pretty fucking weird. Like Brooke Shields coming out talking about it. Like, probably just doing the scenes on their own in a lot of these movies was not fucking great, let alone anything that may or may not have been happening behind the scenes, you know? Goonies, yeah, well, yeah, to an extent. Who's that? Is that fucking what's-his-face? Columbus? Or who did Goonies? Hold on. That's got, like, the truffle shuffle, which, you know, if anything, that's almost a little more, like, on the silly side, but, you know, some people got niche shit that they're into, so who the fuck really knows? But the Goonies, I don't know. What, let me just see. Hold on. We'll do a quick little rabbit hole. Run down the rabbit hole on that one. If my friggin' internet want to catch up with me for a second here. Hello. There we go. The Goonies, 1985. Richard Donner. Oh, fuck. Okay, Donner, yeah. Well, one of the kids quit acting altogether and decided to be an entertainment lawyer, and people from the Goonies paid for him to go to school and do his life separately from Hollywood. So, I don't know, make of that one as you will. I think the kid, the chunk kid, or what's his name? The truffle shuffle kid. Fuck, what's his name? What's his name? Chubbs or something? I don't fucking remember his fucking name. Who else was in that? Chunk. His name was Chunk. Jeff Cohen. Pretty sure that's who. I'd have to read more into it. But it's also another one of those productions, and it had, yeah, Feldman. Cary Green was on that Lucas movie with Corey Haim and Charlie Sheen. I think that's the same girl, isn't it? Cary Green. Yeah. She knows some shit. Martha Plimpton was dating River Phoenix near the end. It wasn't her that night, though. It was Samantha Mathis, but he was off and on with Martha Plimpton for a while. It's all the same people around the same time, right? So you're bound to have some fucking crossovers. Sean Astin, isn't he like the head of SAG-AFTRA? Yeah, he's the 4th national president of SAG-AFTRA now. That Sean Astin kid guy. He's an adult now, but he was like a child actor before, and then he was Samwise Gamgee of The Lord of the Rings, so that's kind of interesting. Some people play the game right, and they get rewarded. The Goonies, I don't know, that one's got some weird stuff, though, like, there is some weird themes to it, of, like, I don't know, like, I'm gonna have to develop the TW theory a little more, because there is different things where it's just the vibe of the scene, and, like, where are these kids' parents the whole fucking time, and who are these weird people keeping their, like, handicapped brother or mentally challenged brother locked up, chained up in the fucking basement? Like, there's some weird stuff about it that movie made it very fantastical and like, oh, treasure hunting, $50 bills, yay. But there is some weird shit going on there too. And the girl kisses the kid. Isn't there a part where she thinks she's kissing the other teenage boy, but she's kissing the little boy? That's kind of weird. Like, somebody had to write all this shit. Somebody had to write all this shit and decide, like, this is the scenes that we need to have for this treasure hunting movie. The kids are going down the hole to treasure hunt, and all of these things that happen along the way. Somebody wrote that shit, right? The hey, you guys, you know, the whole thing. Feeding them ice cream in the baby root. Yeah, they, like, kidnap the kid, basically, right? And then there's some weird stuff. Just going through all that is a little bit weird. It's a little bit weird. Might be on the, like, more mellow end of it, of the spectrum, of the TW theory spectrum, where maybe, say, the leech scene is more, like, on the red alert, like, red alert, red flag, you know? And they got, like, yellow flag, orange flag, you know? I don't know. We're going to come up with a system. It's all still a developing theory, and I didn't know the Reiner thing was going to happen before I was starting to develop it, but it seemed pretty fucking bang on. If River Phoenix, who did the Stand By Me movie, is no longer with us, very young, same problems Nick had, and didn't even participate in the behind the scenes, by the way. This whole thing, River Phoenix is the only one not participating in the behind the scenes. What was going on with the people? All the people that whole time. Yeah. Anyway. Fuck. There you go. Dinner and a show. Fuck.
I remember when I watched the film that it kind of I sprang to attention at that moment because we had done that. Rob and I had done that with our friends. It was a part of our lives which we thought was unique to us. And Rob was able to see that it wasn't unique to us at all. It was a universal thing. And I think I truly fell in love with the film at that moment.
The audience goes through this very wrenching scene with Chris, where you see that Chris has been labeled a bad kid, and he feels that there's nothing he can do to overcome that. That is something that resonates with everyone, whether you are that kid or you know that kid. It's a tough scene to watch.
And in fact, the milk money was stolen when I was in the 7th grade. And if I'd been the kid in charge of taking it around, it would have been, oh, something terrible happened. Somebody came in and stole the money. Because I had a good boy reputation. Whereas this other kid who was doing it that week did not have a good boy reputation, and he was suspended from school.
Ew. Oh, I don't know why, but that is just, that was making me feel a little nauseous. You were a good boy, were you there, Stephen King? And you like writing about all these bad little boys going through trauma? Like, what the fuck? I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the energy. I don't know. As we're getting older, get a little more in tune to certain things, and it just fucking, that just made me feel a little nauseous. Made me feel a little nauseous. Maybe I'm a fucking weirdo. Maybe I'm crazy. Patrick Swayze, better stay away. Fuck me, man. What the fuck? I don't know. It's just gross. It just seems gross. There's a clip of him too talking about how he has the heart of a little boy in a jar on his desk. He makes this joke and he thinks it's so funny, but it's like, excuse me, sir? You got what? You got a heart of a little boy and you keep it on a jar on your desk? Like, maybe he's just joking, but like, what? Pardon, sir? I beg your most finest of a pardon.
And I can still remember how hurt he was. And he said, this always happens to me, whether it's my fault or not. They think that it's my fault.
The scene where Chris breaks down at the tree when they're standing guard in the forest at night is my favorite scene in the whole movie. It's the most emotional scene, and it's powerful for a couple of reasons. One is it's beautifully written. It's taken mostly from the book by Stephen King.
You loved it because it was like an experience that neither of you had to have. It was a kid that had a rough life that got labeled as the bad kid that got to go through all this fucking trauma and all this struggle, and you were feeding off it. You're just devouring that fucking pain. Like, gross. It's gross. Because both these guys, you know, like, they're fucking, he's like, yeah, it's just based on some experience I had as a little kid. I don't know. It was so bad. It's not even my experience. It's the other kid got blamed for stealing the milk money. Let's write about his pain and then have a bunch of nude kids in it for no fucking reason. And it's going to be so feel good. We're going to make them run in front of a train and scream at them so they're so traumatized and we get the best terrified fucking reaction. Like, a lot of it all together. You start looking at it all together and it's like, I just don't like it. Just don't like it. No thank you. No thank you. I unsubscribe.
And it does talk about a time when a child is let down by an adult. I mean, which is a devastating thing for a child when an adult does something to disappoint you or lie to you or cheat you in some way. That's a terrible blow to a child. That's one thing. And the other thing is the two performances by River Phoenix and Will Wheaton. When we did that scene, River had to carry that very emotional thing at the end where he breaks down and cries over having been, hurt by this teacher in the school. When he did it the first couple of times, he didn't have all the emotion that he needed for the scene. I talked to him about some sense memory, and I said, is there a moment in your life where you can recall an adult letting you down and betraying you in some way? I said, you don't have to tell me what it is. I just want you to think about it. And if there is that moment, maybe you can think of.
Please think of your worst trauma so I can feed off it for my movie. So I can put it out there in my movie and get the best reaction. Think of your worst, most trauma so we can all devour it. Gross. Gross. And then when you think about the jokes at the roast and then him talking about the importance of early childhood development, and then his job literally, he's like, but then I traumatize the kids to get the best reactions. And we don't know why River's not here. I don't know. He was the star of the movie. He was the star. He was the poor, broken, misunderstood kid that was the whole point of the movie. But he's not here for our little horse pony show now. He's not here for the fucking little press tour release bullshit. The behind the scenes extra featurettes. Why? Why would their star of their movie not want to participate in this part? Oh, fuck. Finisher knows. Don't even get me started on that. He had the prerequisites, too, right? I know. And even Bug Hall talks about that it's like, because he had suffered from some harm and trespasses before the Little Rascals, but that it's like, he said, and then I'm paraphrasing, you should probably just check out the video, I did a Bug Hall video too, but he was pretty much saying that it's like the predators can catch the scent of people that are already vulnerable and already kind of groomed and to such an extent, like the easy targets, like that they know. And River, in ways, would have been an easier target based on all of the shit he dealt with even before coming into the sphere. And then no wonder he had so many fucking problems. No wonder he had the heavy narcotic dependency. Same thing in the teens, and by 23's accidentally done himself in due to a cocktail of whatever. And that's a suspicious situation. There's still multiple different angles and possibilities there, but the fact that he got sucked in with those people and doing those things, doing those kinds of substances, the whole thing. Oh, Gus Van Sant, don't even start me on that fucking guy. Hold on, if that's the same guy, I'm thinking of the other thing too. Yeah, and then there's like Luc Besson or whatever in French. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, no, it just keeps on fucking keeping on. But no, he went through enough stuff prior to that it would have made him an easier target as he was coming into the industry, and it just, all the indicators there. And I feel like he knows. He knows what Nick went through. They grew up in the same spheres. They had similar problems later with substances. There was a lot going on there. There's a lot going on there. And I think he knows. I think River Phoenix knows. Maybe we could ask River Phoenix. Oh, shit. No, we can't. Maybe Jonathan Brandis. I bet he knows. He worked with some of the same people. Sequest, DSV. Remember what happened with him on that Ladybug movie where fucking Rodney Dangerfield's just walking around with his wang out in his fucking robe the whole time. They're trying to read lines with this fucking 14-year-old kid sitting there being traumatized by dude's fucking schlong hanging out. Like, there's so much. There's so much there. Maybe Brad Renfro knows. Maybe he can tell us more about the weird scenes behind the scenes where it's an unnecessary scene for the main scene of the scene. Oh, good fucking lord. Yeah, eh? Oh, yeah, eh? Yeah, don't listen to us. I'm Canadian. What do we know? We put maple syrup in the snow as a treat. Man, what do we do? We don't know. What do we know? How's it going, eh? Was it coming out? My accent must have been coming out. You knew coffee poetry.
About that, and that'll help you in the scene. And he went off and he thought, and he says, okay, I'm ready to do it. And he did the scene, and as you see, it's beautiful. He breaks down and he cries. And again, it was one of those times when I think he felt uncomfortable enough with me to really expose himself at that point in the film. And then after the scene was over, I went and I hugged him and I told him I loved him, and he gave me a big hug, and he felt better. But it took him a while to get over it. Obviously, there was something that was very hurtful to him in his life that he connected with in order to make that scene work. The scene where Gordy is up, the other boys are sleeping, and he's sitting by the railroad tracks, and it's the dawn. The sun is just coming up, and it's one of these moments that, as described in the book, was a very emotional moment for him, where he made this connection with nature.
I worked very hard on that scene because I didn't want it to be corny. I didn't want it to be like a velvet painting. I wanted it to be as true as possible, and I wanted it to have as much texture as possible. It's of a piece with the rest of the story. This is a story about kids who are discovering the world, and a lot of the experiences that they go through are horrible.
I like his wording there, though. Or, like, not I like it. I mean, I'm curious what he means by the word texture. Add a lot of texture to the film. It's like, does he think that including your favorite memory of when you got naked with all your friends is to adding texture? Is children having a group session at the end of it? Is that texture? Is that what we mean when we say we're adding texture? Because I don't know what you mean by that there. Please, if he could just describe what he is meaning by adding texture.
and some of them are funny, but I thought that there ought to be at least one experience that was sort of transcendent.
I have been told that when I look at the doe, and the doe looks back at me, that our faces look exactly the same. That we have similar eyes, that we have a similar expression on our face. And what that scene says to me is that after we've seen this really horrible thing that's happened to Chris, that there's still this kind of just purity in the world.
You guys are welcome, by the way, to, I don't know which pirates did it, but how our country had to pirate and disseminate your own media. What was that thing, that CPAC thing, or what? I don't know. There was some documentary or something that was supposed to air, and the U.S. blocked it, but it got released in Canada, so the Canadians took it and put it out there for you. You guys are welcome, eh? Buddy guy? We can all be friends. You guys are welcome. I don't know why we gotta cause the friction with the trade rivalry or whatever, the trade war that is happening and all the bullshit in between. We could just all be buddy guys. We're all friendables. But that was kind of fucked up. That was kind of fucked up. Big whoopsie on their part, eh? Or no, what was it? Epcot, CPOT? I don't fucking know. I saw something come across my feed. There was some. Fuck, I'd have to look it up. What the hell was it? I was just waking up and I saw something about it. There was like some hour-long documentary about how people are being treated in one of the facilities down there. Shit. I don't fucking know, guy. Okay, hold on. "60 minutes broadcast of CCOT, the CCOT Center for the Confinement of Terrorism." It was a documentary about the I don't even know, but you guys were supposed to get it, but they blocked it in the U.S., but Canada still got it, so Canada threw it up online for you guys so you could see it. It's the censorship situation. I don't know if it's that big of a deal or what. I just saw something about it, which, you know, so we're all here for, you know, we're all here for the same reasons. I feel like we all have issues that are overseeing and overpowering just all of North America, and if anything, we're all on the same team at the end of the day, the 99% versus the 1%, you know?
Rather than cheapening it and trying to describe it to his friends, he held it to himself and kept it to himself. And that's a moment that, as he says in the narration, it's a moment that I've never talked of, spoken of, or written of until this moment.
The most important things are the hardest to say. You can't talk about them because once you start, they tarnish.
The film after the scene with the deer, it becomes darker, and it becomes less about we're on this exciting adventure, we pulled one over on our parents, and it becomes more about we're going to see a dead kid. And I even say, as an adult in the movie, he wasn't sleeping, he wasn't unconscious, he was dead.
Which, like, let's just think about that, how fucked up the whole idea of the whole movie actually is. Like, their whole big coming-of-age adventure into the forest is them trying to find the dead kid, the missing kid that they think is in the forest, and they're gonna go try to find the dead kid. And the leader is a dead kid. It's a little bit spooky. It's a little spooky.
And I think the line is the train had knocked Ray Brower out of his...
I mean, he wasn't a kid. He was 23, but really, once you get to a certain age, that's a kid. Like, you're still a kid. That bro had, like, not had a chance to fully live. Like, the closer it is to 20, the sadder it is. You know, like, at least with Corey Haim, he was, like, what, late 30s, you know? Some of them make it a little further along, closer to 30, and going and almost making it to 40, but some of them don't even make it to 30, and that's fucking sad.
Head's like it had knocked the life out of his body.
We see that moment at which Gordy is made to feel good by his friend Chris.
Yeah, it's real feel good. It's real feel good. Like, do you see how they pulled a fast one on us there? That the kids are going to find a dead body, but it's such a wholesome, feel good movie. And there's naked kids, and there's this bullshit, and all the little fantasies between Stephen King and Rob Reiner trying to relive their fucking childhood and be weird about it. Fuck, I don't know.
And for the first time, we see the genesis of this boy becoming a real writer, and how the fears that this young boy has about not being loved by his father and feeling that his father hates him, and that this friend of his steps in at a time when this boy is most needy and is able to support him and make him feel good about himself and tell him that someday you'll write about us. And these will be the experiences that you draw from that will inform your capacity as a writer. I was actually crying writing the scene because it cut very deeply into my own personal experiences about my relationship to my father and the feelings I had towards him and the feelings that I had that he, that I felt that he didn't love me. Now, of course, he does love me. I know he loves me. I love him now. But at the time when I was growing up, I had those feelings that the little boy had, and I was able to imbue that scene with it so that when I went to direct Will, I knew exactly what needed to happen in that scene. It was the emergence of Gordy. It was that transition. That rite of passage happens in that scene and ultimately winds up with Gordy picking up the gun and standing off against these older boys, which was not.
Which, like, to defend that they found the body first, because they had to, like, have a rivalry of who found the body first, and then we're gonna tee off who gets to poke the body with the stick first, or whatever the fucking point of that was. But I really like that he's had all this time to work through his own personal journey and his personal relationship with his fucking father and all the problems he had with his childhood and all this shit, and he went through all of this working through his own personal suffering, his own little way. But when it came to Nick working through his own suffering in his own fucking way, Rob had to direct it and make it about him going through his son's suffering, his own personal journey of suffering through his son's suffering. Like, the whole time, it's like he gets it. He gets the problem. He got probably what the problem that Nick was having on a very visceral level, apparently, the whole time. But then this, though. But then we have the heavy narcotic dependency in his teens, send him to 18 different facilities, and he still comes out and commits parricide. Which also, let's keep in mind, those facilities, a lot of those facilities have come under fire because they're all under the same umbrella of a company that so many bad things happen to those in the troubled teen industry. Like, all of that's coming out now, too, of all how many, like, the excessive force, the psychological warfare and emotional violence, the trespasses against kids in those facilities, kids mysteriously not being alive anymore and or die trying to escape, like, there's, like, so much going on there, too. Like, what did he go through just by going bouncing around in these fucking crazy facilities? There's a lot more going on there, too. But, like, I feel like he had so much time and put so much thought into redoing his own childhood, living vicariously through these kids, exploring the problems he had with him and his father. But then Nick comes to him with this, this 30-minute sitcom segment thing he wants to do about people in rehab, and the dad hijacks the whole thing, makes it his whole own little circle jerk fucking fantasy story of becoming governor and his kid becoming a stand-up comic, and everybody's happy, lovey-dovey, woo. No. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit, man. Shit.
Not in the novel. They had Chris Chambers picking up the gun, and we had Gordy do it because it was his evolution.
This is one of the things that I learned from Rob that I still use to this day in my acting. When someone comes from a place of power and they're real secure in what they're doing, they don't have to raise their voice. They don't have to make idle threats or anything like that.
Also, maybe this is completely unrelated and silly for me to point out, but he kind of looks like the kid in Stranger Things. Right here, he looks like 11 to me right now. Like, I feel like there's a reason they choose certain human templates sometimes, maybe a little bit. Like, I'm seeing some resemblances here. Do you know what I mean? When she's focusing to do the mind power stuff.
And you see so clearly the change from we're going to be on TV, I brought the comb, all that stuff, and it changes to this is not the right way to do it.
Or, like, this is a loved movie. A lot of people love this movie growing up, so, like, to pick characters that resemble characters from other people's childhoods is, like, gives a little more of a foot in the door of nostalgia. Because it is very based on, like, the 80s, right? Like, the Stranger Things series is very 80s coded, right? So, I don't know.
This is a human being. And that's really sort of the arc of the movie. That we come through that, and that event changes all of us forever.
Rob had a different view about who the hero was of the story. For me, Gordy is more narrator than he is heroic figure. I felt that if there was a hero, it was a tragic hero, it was Chris Chambers. And so I was more interested in seeing Chris through Gordy's eyes than I was in seeing Gordy himself. But I don't have a problem with that because books and movies are apples and oranges. They're both delicious, but they don't taste the same at all. And
that's worse than him saying about the textures when you consider the content. What part did you find most delicious, Steven? I'm curious. Which most textured part tasted the best? Which flavor texture were you most into here? That's what I'm wondering. That's what I'd like to know. Oh, and also though, okay, the Merkley guy, we were listening to his podcast the other night on the live. Also, P.S. There are some strange connections there between the Troubled Teen Industries and the Kids Incorporated thing. The kid in the other kid in the movie, the Christopher Robin Miller, in the Being Charlie movie with Nick Reiner, was another kid that had been sent to the fucking Troubled Teen. Same idea, went through the circuit. Was like a down the street neighbor to the Merkley guy. So some of his other podcasts, he goes into more about some of the other background stuff to do with the Troubled Teen Industry and what he knew of what happened to the friend and his experience growing up in and around there, because he like recognized some of the places they were shooting the Being Charlie because it was shot in Utah. So there's like the fucking connections to weird stuff never get, like, it never ceases to amaze me. Like, maybe the algorithm's just getting more fantastical. I don't know, because I have talked about the Kids Incorporated stuff. We've been talking about the Being Charlie, talking about all these things. So maybe this is why it's brought him along my path here. I don't know, but there's more there, and it's just crazy how so many things come full circle. How so many different things end up coming full circle when you just kind of have an inkling and you're like, oh, that studio and that thing over there seems a little weird, and then it's just like you're just getting more and more confirmations the more you look at it. Kind of fucked. P.S. So, and again, like, I don't support necessarily all of his opinions and beliefs and whatever, and political stances or whatever the fuck else he goes into on the channel, but some of the stuff about the Reiner stuff and the way it's overlapping with some of my own investigations and just the whole thing, it's just kind of weird. It's kind of interesting, but it's a little weird, but it's also kind of cool. It's like The Shine. Talking to Stephen King here, it's The Shine. Everybody got a little bit of shine. You got trauma, you got a little bit more of a, I don't know, heightened senses sometimes, or hyper vigilance, or a, you know, some people have what's called like a clairsentience or clairvoyance or whatever, a little bit of a premonition. You got deja vu. All those things are like, you got the shine, right? So maybe it's a little bit of a thing happening. It's weird, but it came into alignment at the right time, so it's interesting. It'll be interesting to hear more too, because he was saying some stuff like just in the comments, like we were kind of going back and forth in the comments of other stuff he's recognized that I've talked about, that's stuff he knows about too, and I'm like, yeah, obviously it's no coincidence that we cross paths. Very interesting.
And I'm happy if it works. It's great.
You know, what happened to the river is so sad, and every time I look at the film, it makes me very sad.
Oh, okay. So they did the behind the scenes later. Okay, I've got to figure out exactly when they did the behind the scenes, because it wouldn't have been like, usually I think they do the behind the scenes while they're doing the fucking movie. Like, usually isn't that where it comes from? It's not behind the scenes if you're doing a little fucking revisit. Okay, I'm gonna have to double check what year that actually is, because obviously River's no longer with us, and that's why he's not in the movie. But maybe, Rob, you could shed some light why he's no longer with us, and then why your own son had the same kind of problems and then did what he did. Instead of imploding, he exploded. So what's the difference? What's the difference between an implode and an explode here? What was the difference? I'd love to know.
Hard for me to look at the last part of the film.
It's a very sad thing for me, because I feel that I was that close to being able to help him.
There's a line that Dylan Thomas has: after the first death, there is no other.
River Phoenix was not a flavor of the month. He was not a flash in the pan. He was really...
Okay, again, with the wording, the textures, the deliciousness, and then, oh, the flavor of the month? Can we just stop referring to kids in these fucking terms? It's kind of grossing me out a little bit. That makes more sense why he's not in it, and obviously they're older. Yeah, that should have clicked. Duh. But I was going through and processing just so many different old clips of like, okay, let's get the audio good, let's get this good, let's try to get like the clearer picture if possible. So a lot of these I haven't even watched yet. I just gone run through the thing and like labeled them and got them organized because there's so much shit. I got like 5 hours of stuff to go through for the Rider series. So like I didn't even realize I hadn't watched it this far, you know. But this is I guess yeah, when they were releasing the DVD, some of them it's like they do the featurettes just for the sake of the DVD, not that they had already recorded the footage. Or a lot of the behind the scenes used to be anyways, the behind the scenes were being filmed like while they're doing the movie, and then yeah, they'll do some interviews later with the people about it too, but this doesn't seem as much about anything to do with behind the scenes so much. It's more like let's get together and remember it because River Phoenix died. Let's do a re-release and ride the leverage and wave of River Phoenix's death. Let's all get together and talk about it, and then we're going to put out the DVD, the special edition DVD with the director's commentary and the yeah. It's gross. It's kind of grossing me out even more now. Makes it even worse than him not choosing to be part of it, almost. Do you know what I mean? Maybe a little bit. I don't know.
He was going to be an actor with longevity.
He was the most talented young actor of his time.
When he made a choice to do something, boy, he followed through with it, and with a sincerity that was captivating and striking.
River was the best there was. River was a man with a future. You could see it coming right out of him, you know. You could see his work. You could see his variety. You could see his level of talent was superior.
And it's especially chilling at the end of the movie because River Phoenix's character passes away. And when you watch it now and like River Phoenix's character like disappears, it's got a much deeper meaning than I think was initially intended.
Okay. That's a lot to unpack just with what they're saying right there. But yeah, the featurettes was 1989. The movie was 1986. I don't know when they did the featurettes yet or the behind the scenes, but he died in 1993. He died the same year Nick was born. And in that North movie, one of the scenes that's no longer in the DVDs, I didn't end up including it because it wasn't really necessary, but with the Asian, or they're actually Asian, not Hawaiian, which is interesting, but they're supposed to be Hawaiians. And they're telling them about living on the island together. Like, they're trying to sell him on, like, all these different parents are trying to win the kid, right? And Elijah Wood's character in the movie North by Rob Reiner, that was being filmed the year that Nick was born, the one where he had divorced his parents, they say there's a scene where Elijah's like, you're not trying to get me to replace a dead kid, are you? Like, as if the parents of their kid had died, so they're trying to adopt a kid to replace the dead kid. But I'm like, like, the fact that River Phoenix had just died, and then, like, I don't know, it's like, then you got these other little kids that are coming up as child stars, and you're like, having him say, you're not trying to get me to replace a dead kid, are you? Like, it's like, I don't know, I feel like it was too soon. It's too soon and too, like, on the point, you know?
The experience of filming Stand By Me was truly what you get on film. It really was, for each one of us in our own way, a coming of age time in our life. That period was exactly what you see. It was 4 kids in the middle of nowhere growing up with each other and in front of you.
I remember when that summer was over and I was like genuinely.
Are we sure we couldn't have got that vibe without them getting naked, though? Like, I feel like we could have still got that vibe, that same lovey-dovey feel without them having to get naked together. Like, I don't know, just a weird thought, just a wild thought. They probably could have, had the same effect, had the same impact without having that scene. I think we could have got the gist of what it was like to be a kid of the era without them having to take their clothes off. I think, maybe just an idea. I don't know, it could be a wild idea to not have that in all the fucking movies from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and fucking today. Jesus Christ. Spinning the hits.
With each other and in front of you.
I remember when that summer was over and I was like genuinely sad to leave those guys. I mean, it was genuinely hard for me to part with everybody.
It wasn't about coming of age to me. It was about my friendship with Rob. Later on, I had this gift given to me. hey, you did this thing here, but look what it is. And I had given no thought to that. It was wonderful. And it was about my life. Isn't that a shock?
Whatever difficulties I was going through as a kid and whatever difficulties I went through even during the time of making the film, it was the most important time for me because through those difficulties and through those struggles with coming to grips with who I am, it made me a better person. It also
Why does every movie you think make you a better person? I feel like he's saying, it's like he's got the fucking, like, it's just spring-loaded certain things he's gonna say during these little press things. And it's been the same the whole fucking time. It made me a better person. I just understand this better. I'm just this now. Like, okay, guy. Okay, you did. I think the overall consensus was that it was John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers that had delivered the package. And whatever happened from there may have been an accident. Maybe he didn't realize what he was getting. He could have thought it was a different powder than what it was and went for it as if it was just one thing, but it was a combination of things. But I do think that because of how things happened, John Frusciante kind of went off the deep end for a while. Like, he quit the band. He just dropped right off the radar. He was real heavy into the heavy narcotics. And took him not till like 2022 finally, like they regrouped, and there's a whole thing there. He got better or whatever, but I think that there was more to that there. I don't know. I explore all the different angles in those first couple Dark Hollywood videos, like the Johnny Depp and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because like that's all the people that were there when all that happened. So I kind of explored around that, in and around it, without coming right out and being like, oh, the River Phoenix story, you know. It's all of the everything around it that I think a lot of people missed also. But yeah, John Frusciante was pretty talented also. He didn't want to be big and famous, and he was having a real hard time with everything at the time. There was more reasons, too, I think, of why he left the band for a while. Some of his unreleased stuff's pretty good, too. Like, interesting guy. I don't know. But who's to say, like, that it wasn't an accident? We don't really know. Like, there was awful lot of PR to protect, obviously, the club owners, and, like, because Johnny Depp, but then there was other silent partners, and there was some weird stuff, too, though, that happened, because one of the partners that was going to sue Johnny Depp for, like, basically for embezzlement and for kind of screwing him out of the deal, disappeared randomly. There's random stuff there. Like, to go back and revisit that now with what I know now, because I was just, like, a toddler, a dark Hollywood toddler back then. Like, I was just kind of coming into it and doing. I did a couple not crazy, still not crazies. I was like defending some people that seemed crazy, but like talking about their childhood, whatever. And then I did the Dark Hollywoods, and like this is like 8 years ago now, 7, 8 years ago, right? So to go back and revisit and reassess and redo some of those earlier documentaries might be worth it. I don't know. But yeah, there was some weird shit with all of them, and for the length of the video and how surface level I did the whole Red Hot Chili Peppers video, definitely to go deeper into that. All of them, the ones that still exist, because they lost other band members. What was it, Slovak? And the other guy they lost along the way to an overdose also. There was a lot of stuff happening. There was a lot of overdoses happening back then. So there's just like, I don't know, man. Why was everybody doing such heavy-duty narcotics at 14, 15, 16? Where are they getting it from? You know, that's my question. How did all these kids get their hands on it? Because you're not going to the fucking recess and another 13-year-old's giving you heroin. You got it from an older kid or an adult, right?
Made the experience that much more rich for me. And I look back on it as the richest experience I've had in making a film.
Rob Reiner made this very personal to him, and it made it then very easy as an actor, as a young actor, to work for him, because it felt like we were telling his story.
And it's such a credit to Rob Reiner for allowing me to feel that way, for allowing me to feel like I fit in there and it was okay.
Like, with hearing the interviews and stuff from more recent and from the Being Charlie stuff, and with what he's saying here, and everyone's like, oh, it's so nice to be part of his personal journey, part of Rob's personal journey, part of Rob's personal exploration, part of Rob's personal analysis and study, and blah, 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 blah. Like, when did he have enough? When was he going to have enough? So much so that when Nick was trying to do his own self-exploration and do his own fucking soul-searching through art, the art of filmmaking or television making, whatever the fuck he was trying to do, Why couldn't he have his moment? You had fucking 20 years of moments even before the kid even came out to explore your own personal fucking childhood journey. You hobnob gobbler or whatever the fuck. What was that buddy said? The hobnobbers. He had me sold on hobnobbing. But like, like this is before the kid was even born. Like you didn't have enough time to deal with your own personal fucking childhood problems before you had kids. Maybe a little bit there, Rob. Wasn't enough. Your own personal journey. We didn't see enough of your personal fucking journey through softcore childhood nudity. You sick fuck.
To be there, that I was part of his team making this great movie.
It seemed to me that Stand By Me was the first really completely successful adaptation of my work. It was a deeply felt story for me because as a writer, it was a story that stepped outside the horror genre.
Of course, your best, most famous work is all the work that has fucking either naked kids in it or the ones that are fucking doing things with each other at the end of your book. Like, are we seeing a pattern? Are we seeing that there's a certain clientele that is really who decides who's in and who's out at the end of the day? Like, are we getting it now? Fuck. He's like, yeah, this is my best work. This is as close to being able to have the end of it in a movie as we've been able to have. This is the closest. It was almost a group session between children. Got this close by best work. Like, what the fuck are you saying there, dude? Fucking sick fuck too. They're both sick fucks. Jesus friggin' Christ. Like, it's like I kind of know, but like I said earlier, like the more we watch this shit and look into this shit, it's like it's just more confirmations. There's something fucked up going on. All kinds of fuckery.
There's nothing particularly supernatural about the story, although it runs a gamut of emotions. And I felt that Rob Reiner responded to that and was made better by it and basically realized the story as a film, which doesn't happen very often in a creative person's life.
He's trying to say? He's like, I was on so much blow I couldn't even figure out if we're doing a movie or a book at this point. I was barely there. Fucking Christ. Because, yeah, some of his best work, he was, like, fucking tuned. But then all the next generations tuned, and we got a problem. Stop being cool to be cocaine chic and heroin chic and all the chic when people started dying. Fuck. Fucking Christ. You're getting fired up. Shit, well that took us like a good three hours deep. Oh, Lord. Where are we going here? Let me catch up with you guys a little bit here, because maybe we'll call it here shortly, and then, you know, maybe we'll do another live tomorrow, and I think it's just good to, like I said, too, the coming up for air, and yeah, the vibe checks, and seeing how everybody's doing and feeling with all the courage, because like I said, you know, I noticed a lot of people saying it doesn't feel the same, like the Christmas isn't Christmasing like they used to, and I think it just, you know, the bread and circus isn't working anymore. People aren't so easily distracted. Like the simmer is coming to a boil on the socio-economic crisis. There's a trauma apocalypse happening. It's a whole fucking situation. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm definitely a lot more censored and a little more politically correct, and no cussing in the videos usually, but when we do the lives, it's no filter. No filter. We're just talking. And I swear when I get passionate. Aye, Captain. Yeah, like when you just think of the themes, and obviously a lot of what they're choosing to do and what appears in their films is themselves. You know, if it's pieces of themselves in the film, think about the same kind of, like, think about the recurring themes. Think about the, like I said too earlier, the imagery and the different things that they're choosing to involve in. For why though? But why though? You know, because I think that probably River Phoenix knows something about why Nick did what he did. You know? And not that it's okay. Violence is never the fucking answer. Violence against yourself or others is never the fucking answer. But I wish as a society we can get to the point, like, before we've got teenagers on heavy narcotics, before we got them drugged to the gills like a zombie, before they're, like, you know, doing themselves in accidentally or by on purpose, or other people, you know? Maybe we could figure out what the underlying issue is here. You know? Maybe. Could be a good idea. Oh, the Hunter S. Thompson. He was gonzo journalism. He's kind of a wild card. I feel like he was trying to get to the thick of it, but the closer he was getting to the thick of it, the more the more cold-blooded he was becoming, the more one of them he was becoming, you know? Because sometimes you do. You got to get right to the root of it to understand what you're writing about, the people and the situations, you know? Sometimes you got to take cocaine up as a hobby for a year if you've never really been an addict, but you're trying to write about addiction. I don't know. Some of it makes sense to me, but don't do that. Also, don't do that. That's not an advice. I'm just as an example, like, for what his type of journalism was. Like, he went and got on the inside of, like, Hell's Angels and some of the stuff he was trying to write about, and he kind of had to blend in. Like, he kind of had to be undercover to get the angle he was going for. And not that it's a good thing, not that it's the right thing, but to better understand, sometimes you got to be in the thick of it, you know? Unfortunately. Same, like, that's why I went and watched that fucking Clown House movie. Like, I would have never even noticed about the TW theory if I didn't go to the thick of it and be like, okay, so this fucking weirdo creep that still ended up being able to have a fucking horror franchise, this Victor Salva guy, what was that fucking movie? What was this Clown House movie he did with this kid? Let me just have a fucking look-see what the point. Is this movie even a movie worth watching, or was the movie not the point at all? Was the behind the scenes and all the other shit, pardon me, the whole point of that movie? Or was this even a movie? Was this even a movie? And then opening scene, you notice that. And I'm like, that's interesting. This guy's a convicted guy, and that's an interesting angle. And you know what? How many fucking movies? And I'm thinking the end of E.T. I'm thinking the middle of fucking Little Rascals. I'm thinking of the Stand By Me shit. Which actually, that was a recommendation to me by somebody else. Because I feel like was traumatized by that scene as a kid and then blanked it out. So I was like, holy fuck, I totally forgot about that one. Because I was talking about it with a buddy, and they were like, oh, that scene made me uncomfortable. I remember thinking, like, why was that even part of the movie? Like, that's unnecessary. Why are they making the kids do that? That's fucking weird. You know? So over time, obviously, it's developing more, and more people are like, oh yeah, in this movie, like some of you guys were pointing out North, and how that sort of matched the whole theory, you know? But sometimes you gotta go that up close to it. Like, who wants to watch a fucking horror movie made by a predator, a known predator? Like, the more people realized about Jeepers Creepers, who the guy really was, the less people wanted to fucking watch Jeepers Creepers, and he kind of got chased out of Hollywood, right? But, like, as far as doing the research and trying to understand this shit, like, okay, I'm gonna just check this out. Like, and I was doing a video about it, too. So to get clips to talk about the kid and talk about his situation, whatever. We're going down in the depths to see what the fucking movie is. And literally, 2 minutes into the movie, 5 minutes into the movie, it's like, oh, interesting. You see this a lot in movies. And this guy happens to be a predator, and he's really into this imagery, into this kind of theme, this scene. And I see it in all these other movies. Like, it just clicked so many things for me. But how many people would go back to watch that? They're like, oh, the Jeepers Creepers guy, what a creep. And to go and analyze, to go back to watch Clown House and be like, I just wonder. I wonder what the fucking movie was supposed to be, since we know what he was actually doing. Right? And then you see it. You see that same fucking thing playing out on so many movies. It's like, is it even about the fucking movie? Was it even about the movie? Or were you just writing a story around certain particular scenes that were the preference of certain people with a certain predilection, you know? Because everybody's got a different thing. There's a reason there's 47,000 different categories for adult entertainment, right? It's the same thing. It's just way fucking weirder because none of us understand it. How the fuck are we going to understand? We don't understand. They literally are playing in our face about it the whole time. To the point that Victor Salva was getting away with it so well, he thought he'd make a joke about it in one of the Jeepers Creepers movies. That's so funny. It's so funny to take advantage of a fucking kid. It's fucking sick, man. But, you know... So yeah, like, to get with the way Hunter S. Thompson was doing his journalism and stuff he was trying to say in his work and things he was trying to reveal, I don't know if he would have gotten that information not getting so close to the demons. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he wasn't standing in the face, staring into the eyeballs of the other demons, I don't know if he would have been able to deliver us the information that he was delivering us to do with the chrome from the dome, you know? Can't even really say that word, but you guys know what I mean. So, I don't know. He's another wild card, though, because, yeah, he was really close to Depp. And Depp paid for his funeral and had him shot out of a cannon, actually, for his funeral, which, that's actually pretty cool. That's pretty punk rock right there, to get shot out of get cremated and then be shot out of a cannon for your funeral. Pretty sure that was Hunter S. Thompson. And I think, yeah, if I remember correctly. Kind of getting tired. It's been a long week, but I'm pretty sure that was Johnny Depp and Hunter S. Thompson and that funeral. Good times. Interesting. It's a way to go out with a bang in a whole new way, you know? Very creative. Very original. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Lark Bark, you know. And it is Bumaclaw, right? So some of this stuff was wired. That was his reward. That was his reward for whatever he was actually filming behind the scenes for that Clown House movie. Because what we saw with the Clown House movie was like, okay, that's fucking weird, and okay, I can see that you're a predator, yeah, based on this imagery. First off, yeah, I could see it, and then, but it's a stupid fucking movie. Like, it may as well have been like, what was that year where all the killer clowns was like a theme on YouTube for a minute? It was like that, but in a fucking movie. It was shit. It was absolute fucking shit. So to have somebody like Francis Ford Coppola want to continue to support him coming out of prison and give him whatever he needed to have the next movie and to do a franchise, to do the Jeepers Creepers, what was he getting out of it? What was Francis Ford Coppola getting out of that situation if his good buddy old pal did a movie and with their funding and their video equipment was doing child harm and trespasses material and behaviors? Why would he still support him after? And what was he getting out of it? Because that movie bombed. He didn't get his return on that fucking investment, I'll tell you that. Not on the front end, anyway. So what the fuck was he getting out of it? If not it being about the material that was being filmed with the kid not in the movie. Do you know what I mean? Fuck. Anyway. Great brain dump. Yeah, thanks, guys. It's good. Actually, probably was good for me to just get it all out. Because you can only fit so many little fucking dots, connect so many dots in each video, and you can only say so much, you know, about a certain topic, and it doesn't necessarily connect all the things. Like, there's a lot of side quest type information I could go into with any topic, but, you know, when you're trying to get to the point on a video, you can't necessarily go into so much details. So to get it all out and just go down the rabbit hole and have the whole discussion was probably good. Probably good for me. Cleared out of all the darkness out of my brain for a minute. Yeah, no, I'm glad you guys are finding your way here too. I think a lot more people, it's like they're thinking it and it's like saying the quiet part out loud, and I think people are getting, it's less of a whisper and becoming more of a mumble. It'll get to a point where more and more people are just going to be saying stuff, and it'll be okay. Like, we can talk about stuff. We need to be able to talk about this stuff and learn from it, so maybe we can avoid such tragedies, you know? But yeah, I mean, and the more you start talking and looking at these things and discussing it with each other too, like, the more people are noticing stuff, the more people's eyes are opening, the more they're more understanding just from their own perspective. Because, like, I'm not going to be trying to tell you how to think. I will tell you what I know and what I have gathered based on certain things and why I think what I think, but I'm never going to tell you what you should think. I want you guys to do your own research, and I want you to draw your own conclusions. You know, I'll bring you along and show you an array of rabbit holes. Here's all the rabbit hole entrances, but like, you go choose your own adventure, you know, or whatever. Check them out yourself. Decide what you want to decide. One of us, yeah, yeah. Trauma anomalies unite. Yeah. What is that from? Fuck, I'm trying to think. It's like Gooble Gobble, one of us, one of us. I feel like it comes up in a few different movies, like referenced in like The Simpsons and shit too. I'm trying to think what that's from. Fuck, I don't know. Oh, that whole situation, I hit a brick wall on that one when I was trying to explore that, going from Johnny Depp to Winona Ryder, and exploring that. I did a part 2 to Winona Ryder, and it barely broke 1,000 views when I put that out. For all those videos before it getting pretty decent views when I was first starting the Dark Hollywood, it's like they caught on to me. You're connecting too many dots. People are gonna think for themselves. Oh fuck, you know. That was a whole situation. There was a whole fucking thing going on there. Can't even get into that. We're not even gonna start that rabbit hole right now. We're already over 3 hours deep, so we're gonna start wrapping her up here, I think, soon. I gotta get some dinner and spend some time with the animals, and I don't know, maybe we'll circle back and do another like late night stream a little later on, because, you know, the next few days for everybody I think are kind of tough. It's just the time of year. 'Tis the season, right? A little drop in for all those that aren't feeling so jolly. Tra la 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 la. Yeah. They all want to deny the tunnels, but think about prohibition. Think about how many tunnels were put in just for the sake of prohibition, and then how many would have been expanded and fixed up over time if they wanted, you know? But yeah, I don't know. That's like the more you try to look into some of that stuff, and like the more you're gonna hit certain brick walls and stuff too. Sorry, I'm just like trying to catch up on the chat here. Sometimes it like refreshes and it only shows up top messages, and then I've been missing a ton of fucking messages in between. So I was trying to scroll back there, trying to scroll back and catch up if I missed out too many things. But I think we're all on the same page, anyways. You guys are right here with it. That's the main thing. But yeah, like a lot of, you got to think of the era when a lot of these different little communities, like I was actually looking into it too, because there's some rumors going around about stuff being found in the basement and all this shit about the Reiner thing, and I'm like, I don't know. People are going to sell headlines because it's exciting and it's interesting, but is there any truth to it? So I was looking into like the era of when those homes were built and the potential of there being different connections, and like how did Billy Crystal make it there so fucking fast? Like sure, he lives in the area and whatever, but I don't know. You know, and what was it, like Henry Fonda or something owned that before, Norman Lear. It's sort of been passed down through the generations of the same sphere of people, like on purpose. So I don't know, I've definitely considered some of that also, but that's, again, kind of leaning on the air of conspiracy theory, and I'd rather, like, I gotta have some, like, solid evidence to support something I'm gonna say, you know? I don't want to just come out saying wild shit. I gotta have, like, some breadcrumbs to follow along to make it make sense, you know? But it does, like, we know that existed. We know that is a possibility. We know, like, with the Epstein stuff, they had all the kinds of tunnels and weird shit in the basement. Ruby Frankie, that whole situation and all weird shit they had going on in the basement, which I think there was more going on with that, too, than what all came out on the surface for what the condition those kids were in. I think they were making videos of that shit, too, for a certain clientele. I was like, oh, yeah, it's like a punishment discipline videos to educate the parents or whatever the fuck. Like, their weird fucking thing was going on over there. I don't know if you guys remember that, the Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt thing. That I knew something more fucked up was going on before even the evidence and the conditions of the kid came out. And still, in my gut, in my heart and soul, I think there was something even more weird. For all the camera equipment and all the stuff going on and everything else. I don't know. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. If I don't end up jumping back on, I don't know. I guess it's not too late here, but I know there's people on the other side of the world. We got different time zones and stuff, so it might still be early for you guys. But if I don't make it back on tonight, hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I do have more of the Cappy stuff I'm going to line up for you guys, and going to try to get the next episode of the Goodnight Daddy Dearest out. I was going to aim for this weekend, but it's probably not happening for this weekend. There's so much stuff to go through, and I don't want to rush, you know. I want to be thorough always with what I'm doing, and I want to obviously get it out in a timely fashion as best that I can, but I don't want to be rushing through it either and just putting a bunch of crap together. Because I want it to make sense, and I want people to really get something from it and be learning from it. I think there's so much that can be learned from it, you know. But yeah, you guys have been awesome. This has been an awesome chat. I like the freestyle vibe. You know, all of us just sharing information and talking about what we know in the industry, and just it's good. It's good to have open discussion, I think, and just get it off your chest too. Because it's all the stuff you can't necessarily talk about people close to you. They think you're weird. They think I'm weird. People in my life, a lot of people still. It's like some of the stuff, like, yeah, necessarily just talk to anybody about this kind of stuff. So it's nice to get out and get it all off your mind, off your chest. Yeah, it's been a good 3 hours. I think that's pretty good. I think you guys, gives people too to catch up if they're, on the other side of the world. They'll be able to catch up on it later. But yeah, much love, guys. Tons more resources and stuff in the linked in the description if you want to join us over on Telegram there. And like I was mentioning, the Patreon stuff, all free. But some of the stuff is early access for paid members or whatever. It's more just to support. But the TW article, that's where you'll find that, and it's totally free, and it costs you nothing to educate yourselves and gain more knowledge. It's basically, I don't know if you guys ever watch They Live, and they put the sunglasses on, and they see the truth of some shit. That's what's going on over there. I'm giving you the sunglasses so you can see some shit and get it. Hopefully, we can all make a difference together, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, you guys make sure you're eating, get some grub in you if you haven't. Stretch your legs. Get outside maybe. Touch some grass. I don't know. It's fucking cold over here, so I'm not probably going anywhere anytime soon. But yeah. I think that's it. I don't know. What a fucking week it's been, eh, guys? Yeah. If you like that one, How to Get Ahead in Advertising from 1989 is really good. If you liked the They Live. Soylent Green from 1973 is also really good. If you guys want something to do later, you're not sure what to do, can't think of what to watch. That's some wake you up shit right there. But yeah, you guys too, stay strong, stay safe out there. Keep your eyes wide open. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the flip side.
Red bricks crumble under my feet. A path that whispers a cursed heartbeat. Shadows stretch long, they know